News 46. Local coverage you can count on.
At Healthcare Partners Medical Group, our mission is to provide the highest quality of healthcare to each and every patient. With 5 locations in Pahrump, we are local doctors you know and trust. We want to thank you for choosing us. Quality care starts here.
Thank you, Commissioners. Please join me then in prayer. God, Creator and Father of all that is, thank you for the many people who have blessed and continue to bless our lives. Help us to be grateful for the values we learned from parents, grandparents, and teachers. With your help, may each of us continue to view and review those values for the good of those whom we serve, each in our different callings. We pray now for this Assembly of Commissioners and for all those involved as officials in our county. We ask that you will grant them wisdom to debate our affairs and to act on our behalf, even in the midst of conflicting interests and the issues of our times. Grant them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people. Grant them a keen thirst for justice and for the rightness of things. Grant them the ability to work together for the common good, even where there is honest disagreement. And grant them peace in their personal lives and a sense of fulfillment through their own integrity. We pray for the agenda before the Commissioners today. May they receive from you assurance of what would benefit those who live and work in all the communities of our county. And we ask you to bless us all with your great love and fill our lives with your peace. Amen.
August 16, 2011 at 10 a.m. First item on the
Now joining.
Mamie Eisenhower.
You get disconnected, Mamie. There's your number.
Hello?
Hi. First item on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Borowski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
Just
the
standing up.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
Now joining.
indivisible,
Carrie
with
Radomski.
liberty and justice for all. God bless our troops and bring them home safe. Amen. Hopefully nobody else will be coming in.
Nobody turn on any more mics because something happens every time we touch a mic.
All right, turn this off then.
Okay, we'll go to item number 2. Approval of the agenda for the Board of County Commissioners meeting for August 16, 2011. Mr. Osborne, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We can strike number 4. Do we have any emergency items this morning?
None that I'm aware of.
Hearing none, we can eliminate 7. Number 10, we will have closed session on labor for A, B, and C under 11. As far as I know, we have no legal closed sessions, so I think you can strike D, E, and F. Strike number 12 through 19. We want to pull item 20, B as in boy, number 1, only number 1. Number 2 and 3 should remain, but pull B1. Strike number 2122. Number 26. 29. 31. 32 and 33. And I believe that's it.
Commissioners, anything? If there's nothing else, we'll go to, Mr. District Attorney, do we have any, legal?
We have no legal, but I did want to update you on labor.
Okay. All right, we'll go to item number 3. Action approval of the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners meeting for July 5th, 2011, and July 19, 2011, and July 26, 2011 teleconference.
Be kind, we didn't have a lot of time to get these done.
I only saw like one typo, that not worth mentioning, but I'm sure if anybody else has anything.
Lorinda, she's our...
To tell you the truth, I missed the typo. I have nothing. It did bring a question to my mind. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask a question of Mr. Osborne.
We can do that under item number 8.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Hey, wait. I'm here in Tonopah, and I have something.
Sorry.
Is that typo?
Go ahead. I'm sure you
No,
found
it's
more.
not. On July 5th, page 20, item number 35, Sam Merlino stated that the Secretary of State's office has decided that we will not hold a mail-in election. Actually, I believe what Sam said was that the Secretary of State would not allow her to expand the number of mail-in precincts for the special election. It's not that we weren't going to have any mail-in, it's that we couldn't expand what we already had. Is that correct, Sam?
Well, not necessarily, because originally the Secretary of State's office was looking at a total mail-in election.
Okay.
And they did determine, no, we're not going to have a total mail-in election, but they were going to consider anyone who wanted to expand. So that was truthful at the time.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Strike that one.
Okay.
Page 2 of the July 19th minutes. Item number 5, second paragraph, second line. Just change the word goes to goals, G-O-A-L-S. It would help him achieve his goals.
Okay.
And then I just have one more, Gary.
Yes.
It's on page 22 of the July 19th minutes. Item 32B. Commissioner Eastley read the summary of the bill after clarification that the summary was the same as the title of the bill. My concern was that there was no title for the bill. The summary was printed twice. It was printed as summary at the top where the title should be and summary below where the summary should be. So they were identical. There was no bill title. So I don't know how you want to fix that. And that's all I had.
I will try to reword that to make sense. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, motion to approve with stated changes by Commissioner Easley.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhoven to approve with stated changes. Second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? You vote aye or?
Yes, I did, Gary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. We'll go to item number 5, announcements. I have no forms. Is there any announcements in Tonopah?
No, there aren't. Thank you.
Is there any announcements in Beatty? Is there any announcement in Amargosa? Is there any announcements in Pahrump, Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would be very proud to say that the Pahrump Valley Trojans did really well since our last meeting and the tournament in, where is this, Milwaukee or Wisconsin, whatever it was, the Minnesota State champions went 9-5. The Trojans were 3-2 in the tournament, and their losses were both to Eden Valley. Pahrump Valley, which pulled off to come from behind wins against Pratt and Ripton, but couldn't solve the Eden Valley problem. Jake Fernandez, a Henderson football product, was 11 for 15 with 4 doubles, and his average was 733. And Chris Soto, who was the winning pitcher in all 3 decisions they had in a 4-day event. Joey McCall, which is my wife and I both know her mom real well, led Pahrump Valley with 7 runs batted in each. Soto batted 470 and McCaw batted 421. So I think Nye County and Pahrump is doing well this year. We've had at least 3 number 1s, and we almost had another one, but lost it by a game. And that's it.
Commissioner Shinovan?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Eastley?
No, thank you.
All right. We'll go to item number. Anybody else have any announcements? We'll go to item number 6. General public comment, 3-minute time limit per person. Action will not be taken on matters considered during this period until specifically included on the agenda item as an action item. Is there any general public comment in Tonopah?
No, thank you.
Is there any general public comment in Beatty and Amargosa? Do we have any general public comment here in Pahrump? Okay, we'll go to item number 8. Action. Commissioners' management comments. This item limited to announcements or topics, issues proposed for future workshop and agendas. Commissioner Wickman.
Rick, in reading the minutes that we've just approved, there was an item in there about the Second Missionary Baptist Church who brought an issue before us about compliance and zoning issues. Were you able to help him?
Daryl Lacey, I believe, made contact with him, and I don't know if they found any resolution that was able to help him, but Daryl did contact him.
We've had a couple of meetings with Reverend Boyd, and we'll have another one set up for this week to try and get all the items identified, but it will require a action by the Board of County Commissioners to resolve all of these issues if it's something that we want to do, but we'll be bringing that in front of the board in a future meeting.
Thank you. The only other, no, I'll save that for the road. Never mind, I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Borowski.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. After a long wait, NDOT finally put up the signs for the veterans. It basically says highway dedicated to U.S. veterans, United States veterans. I want to thank Director Susan Martinovich, Tom Moore, Dave Manning, Kent Sears, Dave Petrie, Paul Duke, and Philip Andrews, all with NDOT from here all the way to Carson City and Reno, Sparks, I'm sorry, that worked on this project to make it happen. And kudos to Ed Goodhart and Mike McGinnis for making phone calls to help us with this mission. And a special thanks to Tom Waters, who joined with me earlier this year. So we finally have them up. I've found 3 so far. I was told there might be 4, but that 4th one is eluding me. We have one on each end of the valley coming in from Las Vegas at the Clark County line, one coming in from 95, and the other one is near Irene, facing north. And again, thanks to everybody, and our vets are really pleased, and that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Shinover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Commissioner Boraski for heading that up, and Dr. Waters for helping him with that. Happy we have that. I recently got a response from the DA's office on the outdoor festival ordinance that I wanted to gut. I was told we couldn't do that. Apparently there's an NRS that says each county must have an ordinance, and then it goes on to say it must have these items and it may have the other items. I believe one of the DA staff, Charlie Watkins I believe it was, worked up a draft for me. It's still too wordy for my liking. I'm going to go through and see if we can take out the maze, maybe, I don't know. But I should have it back by the next meeting, I hope, for the board to look at. I'm not sure how we have to agendize that. That's something I'd asked Rick, and he was going to ask. I mean, will we be able to hear it at that meeting? If I could ask the DA, I guess. Or do we have to agendize it to be heard and then wait to hear it? Is that how it works?
Well, you need to agendize it to even discuss it.
Right.
And if you want to just discuss a draft of it, that would be fine, and then we can proceed from there.
Okay, so we can discuss the draft when I first bring it forward. Great. The other item was then the fireworks ordinance. We were waiting to hear from towns, advisory boards, and I wonder if Mr. Osborne could tell us if we can maybe move forward with that in the next month now.
I did get one more reply recently from Dr. Waters on fireworks, but I'm not sure that we have gotten any bountiful feedback from anyone on fireworks, but we're gonna bring that back to the board with what we have.
Okay, good. So we'll be able to get to that. Those are the two, I believe. Oh yeah, and also we should have soon something from on the agenda from the road department to move forward with some of the BLM right-of-ways that we need to straighten out a few roads. And I would also like to say, I guess at this point then, because land prices are so low at this point, any future roadways that we want to get, I would like to see us start to work on acquiring those right-of-ways, particularly from BLM, because it takes so long to get through.
Can I say something?
Government, yes.
There are no more hours in the day for me to continue
I'm not
doing
looking,
that.
I was looking your way, but I wasn't looking at you to do it. I know you are. I didn't mean you particularly. But something I think the board might want to consider.
Are we gun shy?
If we could,
No, it's
she's just,
happening.
she's only free between 2 and 3 in the morning, and she'd like to sleep in those hours, I know. I know how you feel. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Eastley.
Yes. I want to ask either Danelle or Pam Webster a question, if either of them is in the audience.
Pam's here, I think.
I am here.
Okay. Pam, how many elected officials volunteered for the furlough program?
I have that right here.
She's scrolling.
The people that have so far signed up are Joni Eastley, Lorinda Wickman, Tony DeMeo, Gary Hollis, Brian Coonsey, Dan Schinhoffen, and that is all we have so far.
This
Okay.
is Sam. I plan on it. I just have not had time to
Sam
get it in.
hasn't responded, but
so.
she did express, yeah, her, I'm sorry, I did have you, yeah.
Okay, I just wondered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Commissioner Eastley?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Osborne?
I have nothing, thank you.
Pam Webster.
Nothing. Thank you.
Darrell Lacey. Okay.
I think I can get Joni's mic turned down a little bit.
You look to see if you can get Joni's mic to turn down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go to item number 9. Consent agenda item. These items are that staff has recommended for approval. The board reserves the right to move any consent agenda item to the regular segment of the agenda should issues arise that needs to be addressed. Commissioners.
Could we pull one for discussion, please, Mr. Chairman?
Which one?
O.
O?
O.
Okay, we'll be pulling O for discussion. Anything else? How about you, Mr. Shenelman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to pull I for discussion again.
You?
No, but Commissioner Eastley, could you back away from the microphone a little bit or something? The speakers over our head are blowing your voice and rattling papers, blowing my mind here.
There's a mic right in front of you. It's not my paper. We've got a conference room full of people.
Oh.
Yeah, and I will. I was just, you know, when we have closed session up here, they've got the little things on the table, and I wasn't sure if you could hear me or not, so I was picking it up and speaking directly into it, so I won't do that anymore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
I'd like
you
to
know,
make-
the first thing, you know, he has a little hard of hearing, so I was surprised when he said.
I could hear that.
When he says turn it down, I mean, okay.
There's got to be a speaker right over my head, right there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 9B through H, J through N, and P.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve consent items 9B through H, J through N, and P. I have a second by Commissioner Shenhoven. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. We'll go to item 9I, action approval to remove 7 pine trees and the stumps to grind to 6 inches below, remove all oleanders, and stump grind to 8 inches below the ground, as well as clean and remove debris. The amount is $4,750 and can be funded from 261 ground-owned building. Mr. Shenhope.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe Bob Jones is going to voice the concerns I had, so I'll let Bob speak first.
Yes, I had this pulled last time because I wanted to talk to this company because they were so much lower than everyone else. And after talking to him, I put it on again, but since I've checked the contractors board, and of the 4 bidders, Morales Construction is the only one that has contractor's license. So I'm going to recommend that we award it to Morales for the amount that they had in their quote, rather than Las Vegas Best Tree Service.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to ask, if that's the case, why did staff make the recommendation to award the contract to Best Tree Service?
I wasn't aware that they didn't have a contractor's license until I checked, and
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, it wasn't directed at you. I just thought purchasing or admin made the recommendation.
Anybody?
we just kind of assumed they had a contractor's license when they bid
Yeah.
on it, and when we found out they didn't, and I checked, 2 of the other 3 also don't have contractor's license, so.
Well,
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. That answers my question.
it seems to me that would be part of the procedure, is checking to make sure they have contractor's license.
My point.
I
Somehow it slipped through, but I think we'll get better at checking that.
hope that all the other contractors we got have contractor's license.
I hope so too.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that would be top-ranked builders, not Morales Construction.
Right.
Okay.
That is Renee. Mr. Chairman, that's why I pulled it too, because I checked over the weekend. I also was a licensed landscape contractor in California for over 15 years. When I looked at the price, I would have never bid it for that, having to pay for everything that I had to pay for with insurance and keeping my contractor license. It just seemed, so I looked into it, Bob found the same thing, and that's why I wanted to pull it. And so I would like to make a motion to award this contract to top-ranked builders for the amount specified. And do I have to go further and say to execute the contract?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to award the builder to be top-ranked builder and to execute the contract. Second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is it just coincidental that Top Rank Builders is quoting the identical amount that Best Tree Service did?
They're not quoting the same amount. They're almost $10,000 more.
Yeah.
Well, I could have sworn I thought I heard Commissioner Shinhopin say to award the bid to them for $4,750.
No, I said for the amount in the contract.
Oh, not the amount in the agenda item.
No, the amount of the contract with top-ranked builders.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, bring it to everybody's attention that there are power lines and things in that island that control all of those lights and things out there. So at taking out 18 inches, there might be some wires that are ripped out of the ground as well, and they'll have to be replaced.
So the amount that we're going to be authorizing now is $14,500. No, that's not right.
$380.
$14,380. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Osborne, do you have something to say?
No, sir.
Yeah, I just have one question, Mr. Chairman. Pam, can we handle that out of 261?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Bob. Okay, we'll go to item 9O, action approval of a change order number 5 to the existing water contract with George Bennett, attorney at law, to provide legal service regarding water matters. Who pulled?
I did.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I was curious about a few things, and I'm hoping that Darrell can answer my questions, possibly.
If he was here.
I'm sorry?
It's not my agenda item.
It is
Okay.
now.
Come forward, Darrell. Take
Well,
your
if you would
medicine.
like to pass that off to someone else, tell me who it belongs to.
You're so good in the hot seat.
Well, the Water Board had submitted their budget. It's already been submitted. It was already apparently accepted because they did the parcel fee to support that budget. I value Mr. Bennett's services greatly, and I have worked with him for probably 12, 13 years now. I believe his contract should now be a contract with the Water Board, and I need somebody to explain to me and to the public why it's general fund and not the Water Board.
The Water District will be doing a contract with Mr. Benish as well. However, the county has water rights and other things that utilize Mr. Benish's expertise as well for maintaining the county's.
Okay, that's what I didn't
assets.
understand from the agenda item. Okay, thank you. That answered my question.
Thank you, Commissioner Wishman. I had the same question.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. We'll go to our 10:15 a.m. Timed item, recess to the Nye County Board of Road Commissioners. Commissioner Wickman, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll open this meeting for the Nye County Board of Road Commissioners.
Hold on. Thank you, Father Tony. Thank you very much.
Nice job. Thank you.
I would like to take the items out of order and go to item number 4 first, which is a presentation of a letter of appreciation to Mr. Adams. I also have one for Dave and Natalie Spicer, who couldn't be here with us this morning, and also Mike Norton. Is Mike here? I don't see Mike. Okay. Is Bob still here? There you are. Okay. The letters are not signed by everyone since Commissioner Easley is not here, but I wanted you to know that we truly appreciate everything that you've done to help our contractor while she was down here in this valley, to help her locate the roads and even have her back because she was out there by herself. So you will be receiving that letter in the mail so we can get Joni's signature on it as well. Okay? Thank you very much. Stand up and take a bow. What you did was great. Thank you very much. We'll go to the action item number 1, which is approval of the minutes for the Nye County Board of Road Commissioners meeting for July 5th and for July 19th.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I could not hear who made the motion.
Oh, that was Commissioner Boraski.
Okay, thank you.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes 5-0. Is there any general public comment today? Tonopah?
No.
Beatty? Amargosa? Here? No? Okay, we'll go on to item number 3, which is the general road report. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Dave, can I say something first before you get started? Pam, we found the first
Absolutely.
flaw with this plan, since I can't get on the internet. Yeah. I'm not able to grab the hyperlinks. It's not going anywhere.
I tried it on my iPhone as well after I left up there, and I cannot get on either.
Can't get on either? Okay.
So,
IT.
That is one flaw that we have in this plan. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
no problem. Generally, this morning, there is nothing new to report that isn't on the road report already. We are moving ahead with the Tonopah Northern work, the parking lot work, and the actual repaving of the airport road going in off of 6 to the actual FBO building. And that is actually slated within the next couple of weeks. Other than that, that is basically the most current recent update.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Fanning.
Please.
In your report, it says painting fog line on all of Basin, Front Valley Boulevard, so on and so forth.
Fog line?
Yeah, fog line. Fog, F-O-G.
Yeah, fog line.
Yeah, what is that?
The white line is actually considered a fog line.
Oh, okay.
So it actually, if, you know, and how they actually derived at that is actually in fog. That kind of kept that actual right side of your vehicle on the road, so they've always referred to it as a fog line.
Okay, thank you.
Old terminology.
Yeah, I've never heard it before, so it
Yeah.
must be real old.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Dave, we could have used a little water on Lola over there.
Okay. Throughout the week, we have been watering it Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So you're talking more in the weekdays then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay.
Commissioner Wickman?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Dave,
Yes.
repair road failures on Hallsway. Tell me about those road failures.
I'll turn that over to the district supervisor here. Tim, you want to come up?
Yeah, I gotta make them work now. All right.
I'm sorry?
Gonna make them work now. That's good. Morning, Jared. I'm sorry, Tim.
Come on.
He kind of looks like Jared.
I'm just used to seeing Jared, that's all.
There was about a 40-foot section at the end of Hall's Way that the subgrade on it was smushing out due to a garbage truck going in and out. It's a dead-end road. So we dug it out, put some new base under it, and that's where we stand at the end of Hall's Way. About a 40-foot section.
Thank you.
Which road is that? Can you spell that? What is it?
Halls, Halls way.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very
Hallsway
much,
or
Tim.
Hallsway?
Commissioner Shinholfen, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Not at this time.
Okay, I have an observation that I would like to share with you. You were provided this morning with a report from our contractor on the roads in northeastern Nye, around Sunnyside.
Yes, I received that.
Last Friday, I attended a tri-county work group, which meets yes, that's the report. And that is additional to what Stretch Baker had provided us before she went out there, so that's an update. Where she mentions that there's approximately 70 miles that are affected by the power line, transmission line project. It's closer to 80 as of this morning. When I attended that tri-county work group in Pioche on Friday, the week before, White Pine County had graciously given us a copy of their development agreement that they were trying to get signed with NV Energy and LS Power. As of that Friday workshop meeting, Commissioner Perea reported to me that they still don't have a signed agreement. So I would urge Public Works to act swiftly with conviction to secure the required encroachment permits, maintenance agreements, development agreements, whatever we need to do. What I witnessed out there when I returned was we have beautiful, maintained county roads out there, which are no longer. Now we have riverbeds. So, and that's what they look like to me. There's no flow line, crown's gone, cattle guards have been destroyed, and most of this you're aware of. I'm saying this for the public and for my colleagues, so they all know. I have also been told by individuals who are employed by Nevada Energy that they are very willing to get this done. So, and Mike Sullivan was one of those. I just encourage, let's not let it slip through the cracks. Let's make sure we stay on top of it. And get
Okay.
out there.
Darrell Lacey and myself have actually been working pretty actively on this. In that last meeting that Darrell was not able to attend, that I attended via phone,
Yes.
we're actually going to try and get back together on this thing and try to move it forward based off of that last conversation. So,
Okay, have you had any contact since we participated in that?
yes,
Oh,
I have
good.
had contact from Mark Sullivan, NV Energy, and he's obviously wanting to get an encroachment permit. He's wanting to move forward, and the county manager had actually advised me not to do that at this time. So that's the reason for me and Darrell and possibly Rick to actually get together and figure out how we want to go about the development agreement or how we're going to do this. So
Yeah, I would just encourage you to do it.
we will try to get through this thing.
Yes,
If I could just
Please.
advise you, they will be giving a presentation at the next
I realize that.
meeting, so
Here-
we'll
and
have a
here's-
crack at them.
Here's why I am,
Good
this
deal.
is the one reason why I am saying, don't give it a whole lot of time to go by, is White Pine County was very diligent. They had their development agreements up. I can't remember the date. Dave may remember the date. But they should have had them signed long ago and done. They left White Pine County the end of July? End of mid-July?
Yeah,
And they
somewhere in
still
there.
don't have.
Somewhere in there.
So as far as they're concerned, they're done with White Pine County. They still haven't signed their development agreements with them as of Friday. So that's why I'm saying we need to stay right on top of it and not let it slip. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned, and I'll return it to you, Chairman Hollis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wickman. We'll go to our 10:30 timed item, recess to the Nye County License and Liquor Board. Commissioner Braski, you're up.
Thank you. I'd like to open this meeting of the Nye County Licensing and Liquor Board for August 16th, 2011. Item 1, approval of minutes of the Nye County Licensing and Liquor Board for July 5th, 2011, July 19th, 2011, and July 26th, 2011 teleconference.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes 6-0. General public comment, time limit per person requested to be limited to Items not listed on the agenda, no action will be taken by the board. Any general public comment in Perot?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'm hearing no general public comment. We have nothing for 3, 4, 5, and 6. Item 7.
Motion to adjourn.
Don't we have minutes to approve? Or we did that? I'm sorry.
We did that already.
I was sleeping, sorry. I'm awake.
Second.
Okay.
Wake up, Dan.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman, a second by Commissioner Hollis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 6-0 and we're adjourned.
I'm sorry that the numerous amounts of items on the liquor licensing board kept you, had you doze off.
Yeah, I was hard to keep up.
We'll go to item 11G, agency status report. Rick?
That's mine. And it is what it is. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
What item was that?
11G.
Let's see here.
Okay. We'll go to 11H, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision and direction to staff regarding the repair of the gate at Tonopah Sheriff's Office.
Morning, Commissioners. To the best of my knowledge, it's been working the last 3 weeks. We haven't had any issues, so I think we can consider that one resolved.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shenhoffen and I went and examined that gate, and it was working while we were there, open and closed twice. And there are plenty of additional rollers there if anybody needs them in the future, so.
I think the additional rollers you see there were taken off the gate.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Used to be 8.
That's the problem. I've been getting some complaints and concerns about the way it was working because the majority of the rollers were taken off the gate. The gate had previously been damaged, and it was a little warped, and there was some question as to whether or not we wanted to just replace that gate so it had a full complement of stabilizers. Tony, Sheriff DeMayo, I don't know if you've had conversation with anyone.
He's coming up to the mic.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Commissioner, and the Sheriff's Office is really appreciative of the work the Buildings and Grounds and the Commissioner have done. There is some concern about the gate, if the gate need to be replaced. But right now, they're just happy it's working. So there might be something for consideration.
We could go ahead and get a couple quotes on it.
Bob, could we do that? Because I am getting some calls of concern that the gate is warped. Somebody apparently had driven into it at one time, and removing those stabilizers from the bottom hasn't helped with the smooth flow for it opening and closing. I can sure check with them again to see if it's corrected itself, but if we could get a couple of quotes on replacing the gate itself.
Okay, I'll do that.
And we'll just stand by with that. Is that okay with you, Tony?
That's fine, and yeah, that gate's been like that for, well, before I was sheriff, so I appreciate the commissioners taking action on that, and I appreciate it. And believe me, Joni, we do appreciate it, and we appreciate all the work that Bob and the commissioner's been doing with that.
Well, I include it in every inspection report, and I appreciate Bob jumping on it too, so thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, there was some welding and whatnot on there, and there was one section and it was cocked a little bit. Other than that, the gate itself seemed to be working okay. All right?
Okay. We'll go to 11I, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision, and direction to staff to adopt and amend or adopt or reject County Resolution 2011-97, a resolution that authorizes submission of notice to the United States Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management for a direct sale of
I thought you were going to read the whole thing.
I quit.
Motion.
You quit, okay. This is my item. I initiated this well over a year ago. We originally attempted to get an RMPP lease. However, Bureau of Land Management has decided that they no longer want to hold leases on anything that could be considered hazmat. Aren't you glad to know that that's how your family is referred to? So they've asked us to go to a direct sale. We have done that. The only thing that's holding up the process right at the moment is there are some underlying, well, there are some mining claims that are active. I've spoke with the claim holders, and as soon as we are ready with this paperwork and the board has approved this action, then we can take that paperwork there and they will relinquish those at the same time. The people who are holding those claims have no desire to go in and relinquish their mining claims before we're ready to do this action and have somebody slip in there in between us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve, second by Commissioner Borowski. Further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, that's to adopt Resolution 2011-97 to withdraw the RNPP application and request the BLM to sell said property to Nye County.
Thank you. That's what I
Okay.
meant to say.
All right, just clarifying it for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Easley.
Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No, I voted for it. It passed. Can we take just a brief little
A brief little?
1 minute break? So I can,
Okay, we'll take 5 minutes.
thank you very much.
We're going to go to our 10:45 timed item, action, public hearing, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to adopt, amend, and adopt or reject Nye County Bill 2011-10, a bill proposing to amend Title 21 GABS, Chapter 21.08, entitled Water Service, Section 2108-.030.
W.
Is that your item?
No, it's not.
Mr. District Attorney, I think your name's on this item.
Uh-huh.
If it ain't, it should be.
No, Daryl feels.
Is there,
Oh,
is this
I
a
see.
hot potato? Is we just passing this around? Not mine, his, them, there.
The 10:45 timed item, Brian?
Yeah, actually, I don't know how or who put this on the agenda, but this was an issue that came up with regards to the water service there in Gabbs. I think the board has the backup there. The one thing that I do want to indicate that in the bill itself, again, I think it does say summary instead of title, so we need to make sure that we change that typo. But I think unless there's any questions about the specifics of it, I think it's just open it for public hearing and.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Commissioner Easter, is there anybody up there wanting to talk on this item?
Yes, we have 3 representatives of the town of Gabbs. Commissioner Hollis, would any of you like to speak?
Sure,
Yes.
go ahead.
My name is Douglas Kasalka. I'm on the Gabbs Town Advisory Board, and I authored these changes for this bill, and our board approved that. And what we're trying to do is get rid of some loopholes that are in there and make it a little bit easier to work with. Another thing is by holding the deposits, instead of returning deposits at 6 months, if we hold them, then we can eliminate all the legal fees of attempting to go to court and get monies when people leave town owing money. So we have it similar to a cleaning deposit on a rental home. We have the money, so we don't have to chase after them to get it at the end when they cancel their service. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Chairman, I have one. Oops. Mr. Chairman, I have one question. On page 4, item 3, interest on security deposits. Interest shall be paid on security deposits at fixed rate for 6-month Treasury bills of the United States. I don't quite understand that statement.
That part I did not put in. I was under the impression that part was put in through the district attorney's office or their recommendation.
Brian?
That's just designating what rate on the interest.
Pardon me?
So whatever the rate is on the 6-month Treasury bills is the interest rate that would be charged on, or would be on the security deposits.
So why does it say Treasury bills of the United States? That part I don't.
It's just federal U.S. Treasury bonds or Treasury bills.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's the only questions I had.
Okay, go ahead.
Next.
Anybody else wishing to speak on this matter?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I'd love to make the, a motion on this.
1 minute.
Oh.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this matter? I'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Wickman.
I was just going to say I'd love to make the motion on this. However, I don't have access to read the title in, so I'm going to.
You don't read the title of a bill in when you're adopting a bill, only when you're proposing a bill.
Oh, okay. I'd like to make a motion then to adopt Nye County Bill 2011-10.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to make a motion to adopt Bill 2011-10. Second by Commissioner Boraski. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Did you vote no, Commissioner Easley?
Yes, I voted aye.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is Sam. We can give that an effective date of September 5th. That's okay.
Okay, that'd be September 5th, effective date.
Thank you, Commissioner Easley.
Passes 5-0. Okay, I have a request by,
Commissioner Hollis?
yes.
I have to leave briefly at 11. If we could go quickly to 11J, I just have a very brief comment on that. I don't want this to be heard while I'm gone.
Okay, Gerald, I'll get DOE. 11J. Action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision, and direction to staff to promote with proceed with the process of renewing recreation public purpose RP&P lease to consider a pistol range and archery range located in Tonopah. Commissioner Easley.
Lorena,
Yes.
where is this located? Is it the current pistol range that's up behind the school district building?
I believe this is that one. Let me double check that.
And while you're looking for that, I was contacted by the Pool Pact 2 years ago. They say that we have to move that range, that qualifying range, because the bullets a couple years ago were striking the town's water tank and going through the water tank. So I'm not sure what kind of bullets were being used, but one of them pierced the town's water tank. Additionally, it's too close to the school district offices. It's right behind it, in fact, and it's too close to residences. They have told me repeatedly that has to be moved because it's a liability. I've been attempting to work with the sheriff's office representatives and with the BLM to identify other parcels of land. The problem is the parcels that we've identified are not in disposal, so we cannot get an RNPP lease on those. We do have a range located down at the airport, but that's 10 miles out of town. So if someone is qualifying, if deputies are qualifying that far out of town and there's an emergency call, it poses a problem. That's why we wanted something a little closer in the Sierra Vista area. So, Lorinda, I'm sure that's one thing we're going to be talking about with the update of the resource management plan for the Battle Mountain District, is maybe identifying some of those areas that would be suitable for ranges and asking that they be included in the disposal process.
Yes, we will, Joni.
Commissioner Eastley, I would like to make a clarification here. We may be running into a problem because shooting ranges, you know, the lead becomes a hazmat situation, so.
We're probably going to have to clean up the existing one, but I think we should pull this item until we can get it identified as to what the other site would be.
And I am aware of that the site has to be remediated. I know that. But I just don't think we want to have a direct sale on something we can't use.
So we'll just withdraw.
Okay.
Let's just pull this one for later discussion.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to pull that.
Okay, and Commissioner Hollis, I have to go out for an appointment.
I understand. Okay. I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
If I could just briefly, I just find it, lead is a hazmat issue. Lead comes from the earth, and now it's a hazmat issue. The only kind of hazmat I see is if it's lodged in your body, but this is, again, just so much more.
Lead is a contamination and
yeah, it's been declared a contamination, and the EPA also declared that our exhaling is a contamination.
Well, so. Commissioner Shinhoff,
I just wanted to make that.
BLM has requested this. In the past, we've handled these through an RMPP lease, recreation and public purpose lease. At the end of the lease, then the land would go back to the BLM for public lands. Anything that's contaminated, whether it's lead or dead bodies, they don't really want to come back into their inventory of public lands. So they want these now in the future. And item K is also one of these same issues here, that they want us to then look at options to take it to a direct sale so that the county owns the land, and then the county has responsibility for any contamination issues and cleanup in the future.
No problem.
They just want to get rid of that.
I just find it ridiculous. That's all. I understand that's what they require, but again, we need more regulations.
I find it ridiculous too, because whether you have an RMPP lease on the cemetery, those bodies are there right now, and whether they're in the county's control or in BLM control, the bodies are still there.
Not only that, but that particular cemetery is now part of a historical site, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Who knows what the common sense of.
Some cultures call that fertilizer, not hazmat.
I agree.
Some do. Some cultures.
My people ain't buried. Okay. Gerald has requested me to get right on to the 10:50 time item. Presentation by the Department of Energy, DOE, National Nuclear Security Site Office to brief the board on forthcoming draft of Hawaii Environmental Impact Statement. And that NNSS is, I mean, it's just a change of the name. It's still, to us in Nye County, Nevada test site. We didn't have anything to do with changing the name. Okay, Darrell.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. I'd like to thank the Department of Energy. They have been updating their environmental impact statement as required under NEPA on a periodic basis. In the current iteration, they have asked Nye County to participate as a cooperating agency, and we've had a very good working relationship with them on this process, and would like to thank them for allowing us to be involved in this process. This is Michael West representing the DOE here today, and we're trying to pull up a PowerPoint presentation here so that he can give you an update on where we stand with we're currently at the draft EIS stage here. So,
good morning, commissioners. Thank you. Again, my name is Michael West, and first off, I'd like to clarify I'm a contractor working for Department of Energy. Mr. Wade sends his apologies that he was not able to attend in person today to give this presentation.
What's the name of the contracting firm?
It is Potomac Hudson Engineering, or PHE, and we are the firm responsible for preparing the update for the site-wide EIS. For anyone that is interested as well, I do have printed versions of the presentation that I can distribute at the next recess or at the end of this presentation as well. First off, commissioners and members of the public, to give a little background on the site-wide EIS, or SWICE. This serves to update the baseline environmental condition of the NNSS, or Nevada National Security Site, the Nevada Test Site as it was formerly known. And this final SWICE, or evaluation, and the subsequent record of decision will replace the old 1996 SWICE, as well as the two supplemental analyses or updates that were performed to that document. It fully analyzes new mission areas, focusing on environmental or national security, environmental management issues, and renewable energy. Currently, this draft document is out for public review, and the public comment period began on July 29th and continues through October 27th of this year. The mission areas examined in the SWICE are three: national security and defense programs, non-defense programs, and environmental management programs. Under national security and defense programs, these include mission areas such as weapons stockpile, stewardship and management, non-proliferation and counterterrorism, and supporting work for other federal agencies, including Homeland Security and Department of Defense. The environmental management programs reviewed in this document include the environmental remediation or cleanup programs, as well as the ongoing waste management program. The non-defense programs include general infrastructure, maintenance and upkeep, renewable energy initiatives, and other non-federal research and development activities. There are three major alternatives that are considered within the new site-wide document: the no-action alternative, reduced operations, and expanded operations. The no-action alternative essentially seeks to maintain the status quo and the current level of operations using existing facilities. The reduced operations alternative considers both lower levels of activity as well as the potential closure of some facilities, while the expanded operations alternative includes new programs, new projects and facilities, and an increased level of activity for ongoing programs and facilities. One of the key issues analyzed in this study is radioactive waste disposal. And the no action and reduced operations alternative would seek to continue recent trends in low-level waste disposal at the NNSS and maintain mixed low-level waste disposal limits according to the permit currently issued by the state. Just by way of background, in fiscal year 2010, the entire DOE complex generated about 49 million cubic feet of low-level radioactive waste, of which only about 5% was disposed of at the Nevada National Security Site, with about 86% remaining and disposed of at the site of generation outside of Nevada. Under the expanded operations alternative that the department is considering, there would be an increase in low-level waste disposal, which reflects long-term forecasts from throughout the DOE complex nationwide. And it seeks to maintain disposal flexibility for DOE and recognizes that DOE may make other disposal site decisions over the next 10 years. It is a much higher volume that is considered, but it's also considered a very conservative estimate. Much of the waste considered under that alternative may in fact be disposed of at other sites outside of Nevada. And all the alternatives consider a total volume of low-level waste over the next 10 years, a 10-year period. Another key issue analyzed in the document is transportation of low-level radioactive waste and radioactive materials. And Within the greater Las Vegas metro area, there are two subcases that are considered, what is known as a constrained and an unconstrained case. In the constrained case, DOE would maintain the status quo and maintain existing agreements with the state by avoiding truck shipments through the I-15 US 95 interchange, as well as the Hoover Dam and O'Callahan-Tillman Bridge crossings of the Colorado River, and would continue to use rail-to-truck transloading facilities in West Wendover, Nevada, and Parker, Arizona. Under the constrained case, there are additional transportation routes considered for both truck and rail-to-truck, including some that would go through the greater Las Vegas metro area, and several additional rail offloading sites within Clark County. Just a little bit of background on why DOE is considering this unconstrained case or new scenarios. First is to recognize that transportation infrastructure has significantly changed in Southern Nevada since the last 1996 study was completed. National statistics demonstrate that transportation by interstate highways and by rail is safer than truck transport on other roadways. DOE is also considering more fuel-efficient ways for national shipping that would reduce greenhouse gas emissions and fossil fuel consumption, and wants to provide the public with a full disclosure of the potential impacts of waste transportation and using all possible routes. Renewable energy initiatives in this document. Renewable energy, specifically a commercial solar facility, is analyzed under all three alternatives, with the generating capacity of this facility varying in size by the alternatives between 100 megawatts and 1,000 megawatts. This is fully analyzed in each alternative. I do want to clarify, though, that at this time there is no applicant that has come forward to the department with a specific design. Therefore, this study looks at a, I guess you could say, a generic scenario or a generic solar generating facility, and would help support future decisions about allowing a commercial entity onto the site.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
May I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, maybe it's coming up next, but have you considered nuclear power plants?
Sir, no, that is not considered in this document.
Okay, so only the solar.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you.
In addition to the commercial solar facility, there are also measures addressed under each alternative for energy conservation, as well as some smaller building scale solar facilities. Talking a little bit about the key dates for this document. I mentioned that this document is up for public review right now. The department has scheduled public hearings in 5 locations in the month of September: Las Vegas at the Cashman Center, Pahrump at the Nugget, as well as hearings in St. George, Tonopah, and Carson City. These will all be advertised in local papers with details, again, on hearing locations and times. For those present here, I wish to clarify, these will all be evening hearings, I believe scheduled between 5 and 8 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, public comments will be accepted on this study through October 27th. Those can be given at the public hearings. Those can be submitted in writing to the department, and the department as well, on the website where the document has been hosted, can also accept public comments on the website itself. Next year, in summer of 2012, DOE expects to complete the final version of this site-wide environmental impact study and to publish a notice of availability in the Federal Register at that time. And approximately 30 days later, we'll make a formal record of decision where an alternative or elements of several alternatives will be selected. And that decision will also be published in the Federal Register at that time. Commissioners, thank you for your time. This concludes my presentation. At this time, any comments or questions you have, I'd be glad to bring back to the department.
Thank you. Staff will be preparing formal comments to bring to the board for your approval and submission to DOE as part of this, so that'll be something you'll see in the next.
Well, I have comments now.
Yes, sir.
I want to welcome you here, Again, I want to welcome you. Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you as a cooperative agency. While I have some different views, you have included those views in your draft. However, presenting my views without action to recognize and mitigate past and present impacts is not enough. Not allowing Nye County access to water on the NNSS is a big deal to me. Our water right permits requests for water on the test site have been denied because of protests by federal agencies, including the DOE. And the fact that DOE will not allow access to water on the test site, DOE should closely coordinate all groundwater studies with our scientists and provide funding for Nye County to conduct our own groundwater science studies off the test site. The ongoing impact of denied access to the county is huge and has never been any compensation for the impact provided to the county. I understand that some water on the test site is contaminated. However, I believe that the vast majority of the water on the test site is perfectly safe for public use. AJR 5, dated June 16, 2011, documented my concerns. The joint resolution urged the federal government to engage in discussions with Nye County regarding the mitigation and containment of water contaminated in Nevada, which resulted from nuclear testing and storage activities that were conducted by the federal government at the Nevada National Security Site, and to restore restoration of any water contamination because of those activities. My bottom line, DOE should seek the means to mitigate this specific impact. Our practical solutions might be to provide the county reasonable access to the sustainable clean water resources that exist on the test site, stop protesting our water right request. We, the county, myself, have supported DOE and the Department of Defense in the Cold War years, nuclear testing to protect this country from having a nuclear war in the future. We have supported DOE. It's time that DOE supports Nye County. I appreciate the work you have done and look forward to working with you to resolve our issues. I'll provide you with a more formal and detailed response in the future. Thank you. Commissioners, anybody else would like to just...
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. Look forward to seeing what comes of this. I would prefer expanding. But that being said, I just find it strange that we're dragging our feet over Yucca Mountain when there's been more contaminants put out there in the air and the ground by all the tests than ever would come from Yucca Mountain. And we recently have put forward a resolution that was adopted by 5 other counties around showing there was local support for Yucca Mountain. And I know that we're not talking about that today, but to tie that in, there is so much that has been put out on the test site in our county that complaining, thinking that Yucca Mountain's going to be unsafe is just ridiculous to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Donovan. Anybody else? Commissioner Brasky? Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. Sam? What's with all this signature stuff from all of a sudden? From the assessor? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to 11K. Action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision and direction to staff to proceed with the process of renewing the recreation and public purpose lease in 42531 for the Silver State Shooting Park located near Beatty, Nevada.
Was that 11 what now?
11K. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin.
Yes.
Further discussion?
I'm sorry, what was? I thought she had a comment.
Further discussion? Call for the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote?
I voted aye.
I'm talking to Lorenzo.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Passes 4-0.
And for clarification, that is to pursue direct sale.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what I thought.
Item 20A, ongoing project report. Mr. Osborne.
I have nothing further to add, unless you have questions on anything that's in there.
Okay, if there isn't anything, we'll go to item 20B, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to, and we're deleting number 1, adopt Nye County Resolution 2011-94, a resolution establishing a manufactured housing plan review and inspection fees within Nye County, approve the extension of the professional service agreement with Charles Abbott Association. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, we're ready to have you decide on this. We did talk about at the last meeting. The correction has been made. The DA's office has participated in that, and the language has been inserted, and I believe the DA's office is comfortable with the language that's in there. And just as a further enforcement, the section that was deleted today, which was B1 on this, is something that we would bring back in the future. That would be the increase in the rate, and the current economic conditions dictate that this is probably not the appropriate time for that.
Amen.
Charles Abbott is in concert with that, so that's why that was pulled, and we'll bring that back whenever the economy picks up and things improve. But this other, again, establishes the manufactured housing, allowability for them to do the inspections, and there is a net zero effect when you compare what their costs are going to be on that function compared to what the state is already charging. So there is no increase to the citizens on this, and we look forward to the approval of their contract with the county.
May I?
Yes.
Rick, just for clarification, there is nothing in here that is going to make anything more restrictive of the public.
That's correct.
So it's, and reaffirm, please, just for the public and on the record, that this will provide a more rapid response to the requests that are made by the public for occupancy permits?
That is our belief wholeheartedly, yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a
And I'm sorry, and to approve the extension of the PSA.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to adopt Resolution 2011-88.
No, 94.
94, excuse me. And approval of the extension of the professional agreement.
Yes.
Second by Commissioner Shinhopin.
Yes.
Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Rick, is this the same agenda item we had on last time?
It is, with the exception that the language that the DA's office wanted to have modified.
Well, I understand that, but we already knew that resolution number 2011-88 was not going to be. I wonder why it got on here in the first place.
It was an error, and I'll take the hit on that, but it shouldn't have been put back on there again because I pulled it last
Because
time.
it's confusing when you're trying to do that.
Yes, my fault.
Okay. That's the first.
Shame on you.
But he's a good guy. I can pick on him every once in a while. Item 20C, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible direction to staff to make the necessary repairs to Black Road due to the recent collapse in the amount of $4 million.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0.
I wanted to move as quick as we could.
Commissioner Eastley, not present. What'd you say?
I wanted to move as quick as we could, that's why I jumped.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll go to 20D, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision concerning a request to approve a mutual aid agreement with the town of Pahrump, Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue Service, providing mutual aid and coordination with fire emergency medical and hazardous material emergencies.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would ask if you're ready to deliberate this, that you consider removing the sheriff, Scott Lewis, and Brent Jones as required signatories for this document and just allow it to go forward as being signed by the chairman of both the town and the county boards.
Commissioners.
I had some questions on this as well. I received a number of emails. Obviously, you're aware of that, Mr. DeMayo.
I don't know what emails you received, so I couldn't
Well,
say.
I was
I
copied.
know I sent you one.
Yes, I was copied on those. I just want to know if all those issues have been resolved with the sheriff's office?
Actually, Commissioner, I'm glad you bring it up. This is, when I was at the town board meeting, all I asked was to have lunch with Scott Lewis. And I tell you the truth, the agreement goes light years ahead of what we've had before. The only inclusion, I think that Scott Lewis and I could have worked this out over lunch. That's how confident I was and it was a change in language, just an addition to the bottom part of the MOU. And the reason I'm going to bring this up, the reason why I wanted this is, I wanted the fact that Unified Command be inserted. And the reason for it is this. Unified Command allows agencies with different legal, geographic, and functional authorities and responsibilities to work together efficiently without affecting individual agency, authority, responsibility, or accountability.
So has that been?
If that was added in there, and I think that under 15, it say the party shall adopt the use of NIMS, which Scott Lewis and NC EMS are trained in and do utilize. Instant command system with the inclusion of unified command, that would pretty much satisfy the Nye County Sheriff's Office, and with the exception of maybe spell my name right on the document, I wouldn't have a problem with being a signature. And I think if Scott Lewis, and the reason I bring that, Commissioner, because it seems to be in the document, there seems to be some jurisdictional mission creep, encroachment. That language of the Unified Command System actually takes care of that, because Scott Lewis, EMS, and Nye County Sheriff's Office will continue doing what we do. And actually, on our even motor vehicle accidents, we utilize that all the time. At the EMS, they're in charge of the extrication and the treatment. We go to the fire department. Anything else you need, when they're finished, we clear it with them, and that pretty much would allow. That would take care of that the concerns that everybody has with the mission and mission jurisdictional encroachment or creep.
I understand. Yeah.
And if that's added.
Tony, I see Scott Lewis is here. Can you give me an indication if that's agreeable?
Good morning, Scott Lewis, Fire Chief. Actually, the way it was described, the answer would be no. The use in terms of NIMS is not being used appropriately here. NIMS is a federal framework. It was created after a series of disasters that occurred in this country to create a reporting system and a mechanism to utilize resource tools. When a local incident occurs, NIMS's goal is to start it with the local level and end it with the local level. At any point in time where resources are required, federal government kicks in. So NIMS is truly a federal guideline. So what happens is, but the use of it in this, when you're describing a unified command, as the sheriff mentioned, that is a process that occurs when you have legal stakeholders. So within a jurisdictional responsibility, you don't create a unified command at the onset of an incident. It's only when it grows to that level.
Okay, but the point is that you two do not agree. That's the point that I was trying to make. Mr. Kunze?
Yes.
It's my opinion that we can only ratify an agreement that is an agreement, and if there is no agreement, then how do we approve an agreement?
Well, this agreement has been approved by the town of Pahrump.
The disagreement?
No, well,
this agreement.
You're talking about a disagreement. You're trying to insert something that would make it a disagreement.
I thought you said
no.
The disagreement was
no,
approved.
No, this agreement itself has actually been, the content of the agreement has been approved by the town of Pahrump. The problem I have in this NIMS issue paragraph is, I believe, from the original agreement. This was not something that I inserted into this agreement, because the basic framework of this agreement was to try to follow the previous agreement as closely as we could. And then what I did in this agreement was to simply more specifically identify the statutory basis for each of the different entities' involvement in these particular issues. The first time that the issue came up with amending this NIMS provision was an email I received last night at 7 o'clock. And I think that to a certain extent, I think it's an issue that actually goes way beyond this agreement. Mm-hmm. You know, from my legal perspective, that it is more appropriately, and the NIMS model actually has been extended down to local government. It certainly is a federal model, but now a lot of local governments have adopted it, and I think that's what the intent with this was, to follow that type of system. But the reality of it is that truly what a NIMS applies to are true natural catastrophes, major type of emergencies, which really is not the intent, I think, of what the parties tried to do with this particular agreement, to work on the normal, everyday type of emergencies. And I think that I think what the sheriff raises is extremely valid. It's a very important issue, but I think what we need to do with respect to the issues involved in this agreement, I don't think we have to necessarily embrace this bigger issue. I do think that we do need to address that issue, and I think that maybe that ought to be the next step in the discussions between the town and the Pahrump, between the town and the county, to try to resolve some of these issues. And this really is more, I think, more appropriately part of a master emergency response system plan than it would be specifically as to what we're dealing with here, which is very limited in scope to really the fire prevention, suppression, and ambulance services and things like that, in which the entities involved.
My next question then would be, with the county manager's suggestion of changing the signatories, this is an agreement between the town and the county.
That's correct.
And the town has already approved this?
Yes, it has.
Yes, it has. Then my motion would be to amend the signatories on this to a representative from the town and a representative from the county, and approve.
Commissioner, in no disrespect to Scott Lewis or the DA, this is from the National Incident Management System, Department of Homeland Security, 2008. On page 6, It says standard resource management procedures that enable coordination among different jurisdictions or organizations, scalability, and this is what NIMS is, not what NIMS is not. Scalability, so it may be used in all incidents from the day-to-day to the large scale. What NIMS is not, and no disrespect to the fire chief, apparently hasn't read this 170-page document, which I have, our response is NIMS is not only applicable to certain emergency management incidents, response personnel, and only, it's not for large-scale incidents. It's for day-to-day. So it says, what NIMS is not is only used in large-scale incidents. Basically, what unified command is, and if the fire chief doesn't want to go with the concept of unified command, which is part of the training in NIMS, which is part of the instant command system of NIMS, which is the training we get in Nye County Sheriff's Office, which is required, then if he doesn't want to accept the unified command concept of the National Incident Management Systems under the Department of Homeland Security, which he gets grant funding for, this is the reason why we actually take the NIMS training. That's the only thing we ask him. I'm asking for is already included in the document. NIMS is included in the document. The DA stated that he didn't put it in there, but it's included in the document. How we got inserted in it, I have no idea. And all I'm asking for is reasonable under this document, under the Department of Homeland Security, which is a requirement for incident commanders, a training document, is the fact that we insert in that document that unified command will be utilized. That's it. It's not unreasonable.
You know, from a layman's point of view, it doesn't sound unreasonable to me either, but obviously I don't understand all the idiosyncrasies between the two.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
So, where was that?
This is Brent Jones.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Brent.
I'm in Tonopah. I had something come up. I had to get up here. I concur with what the sheriff is saying, just so that everyone knows that I am here and can answer questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Is there... you know what I am tempted to say? Here's what I am very tempted to say, is obviously, how can we approve an agreement that is not agreed upon? And that...
If I could address that,
please.
Because I think the problem that we're having here is trying to make this agreement something that it is not. Because what the sheriff is talking about is situations in which you have two jurisdictions with the responsibility for the area in which you're talking about, and so therefore you need to try to work with them so that they cooperate together. Mm-hmm. That's not the situation we have here. I mean, and if we're going to get a blunt discussion of this, the problem is that fire suppression in the town of Pahrump belongs to the town of Pahrump. What this agreement is designed to do is that if the town of Pahrump needs the assistance of Nye County to come in and help, they are then requested to come in and help. This is not the scenario where Nye County is responding to an emergency in which Nye County also has a legal basis to do so, and therefore you have conflicting command responsibilities. That's why I'm saying that the concept that is being injected into this is way beyond the scope of this agreement, and I think it complicates it beyond what it needs to be.
You're right, and it was complicating it for me.
Yes.
So this is an agreement between the town and the county solely. That's it. Just like a cooperating agency agreement.
Yes, and it's designed, and it's reciprocal. It also goes from the standpoint of when Brent needs assistance with his services in Crystal, or there's a brush fire somewhere, they then have the right to call in Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue to come assist. That then gives Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue the legal capability, if you want to use that word, to come in and assist and have the power to do so.
Okay.
And that's really all this agreement is intended to do at this stage.
And that is how I read it the first
Yes.
time. I got confused once we all started talking about it.
Well, unfortunately, they mentioned Nye County Sheriff's on here, and, you know, when you bring Nye County Sheriff's on here, we actually have some concerns over the fact that we want to make sure that unified command system is going to be enacted. It's not a document. Even though NIMS is mentioned, Incident Command is mentioned, that for some reason has been left out. So as far as the Nye County Sheriff's Office is concerned, unless we have full compliance with the NIMS system, which is a requirement for multiple agency responses, which is basically every incident in Nye County is. Motor vehicle accidents, sick call, fires.
Tony?
And that's what we're asking, Commissioner, is just a simple.
Let me ask you
And I
this.
don't know why that's causing disagreement with anybody. But.
Here's what I want to know.
Sure.
If this agreement is not in place between the town and the county, does it change anything you're going to do?
It basically allows us just to continue doing our job. If we're excluded from this, if we're excluded from this entirely, this will be an agreement basically between the county and.
Listen to my question, Tony.
I am listening.
If we had this signed agreement between the town and the county, would the fact that that agreement is signed, is that going to change anything that you do in your job? Yes or no?
It can. And that's what I'm just saying, if it wasn't for that, what we believe is encroachment, what we're asking is that take us out of the agreement completely and make this between the county fire department and the county and the Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue. We're still going to continue doing our job. All I was asking for was an inclusion.
That's what I wanted to know. You're going to continue doing your job regardless.
I have not only, NRS responsibility for all the responsibilities the Nye County Sheriff Office has.
Exactly.
Have more responsibility, but eliminate from the agreement, that way we're not going to get this thing shoved in our face.
My next question is, if this agreement is not ratified by both the town and the county and not signed, is that going to change anything about your job? Yes or no?
Commissioner, it hasn't changed everything since the 12 years I've been with the Nye County Sheriff's Office.
Thank
the 12
you.
years in so basically, but what we're asking for is complete inclusion of NIMS. That's what we're asking for. And for some reason, I don't understand the disagreement with including that unified command. Unified command, 2 words, we're done.
Okay, Tony, I got it. I got it the first time. I understood 30 minutes ago. The point that I'm trying to make is, from a layman's point of view, it's semantics from where I'm sitting.
Then actually, we don't really need the agreement. We've been doing it ever since.
Other than it is something that the town of Pahrump has asked us to do.
Sure.
They are willing to agree to this. My motion is to change the signatories to a representative from the town, a representative from the county, and approve it.
I would have just hoped we had a buy-in from the sheriff's office, but apparently I couldn't get 2 words entered into that agreement
But you
under NIMS.
can. That's what Brian just spent 30 minutes telling us as well. And I didn't get a second anyway, so it's dead for lack of a second.
And I appreciate the time you gave me. Thanks, Commissioner.
Can I ask a few questions before we consider making a second? If I could.
It's up to you,
I
Chairman.
don't want it to die here because I have some questions concerning
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a comment?
Hold on 1 minute, Brent.
No.
Commissioner Shinhoven has the floor.
This is me.
Well, still, Commissioner Shinhoven has the floor.
All right.
Commissioner Shinhoven, go ahead.
First off, I've had personal interaction with the fire department. Personally, my daughter's business. I have no problems. You guys have done great. You've always been professional. My concern is that this is a mutual aid agreement. It seems that we should have an automatic aid agreement. The way I understand this, and just please correct me if I'm wrong, the way I understand this is if the county emergency services are on Highway 160, a wreck occurs in front of them, they have to call you for permission to respond to the people in the wreck. Is that how that would work? Or can they automatically go render aid and then call you? I'm concerned about the time that it takes to get permission or for you to call.
That is not an indication of an automatic aid agreement.
No,
That's not that doesn't fall in the purview of an automatic aid agreement.
In this agreement, right now.
If something were to occur in front of it could be the sheriff himself or anything like that, they have a duty to provide care, but they have to notify the authority having jurisdiction of the call, and they in turn respond. They can't handle the call in lieu of. They can start the initial actions, render the initial care.
That's what I'm asking.
But that's
they can begin to give aid and then call. They don't have to wait for you to say it's okay to give aid.
No, that's never been the issue. That has nothing to do with any mutual aid agreement or automatic aid agreement.
Okay.
Even a citizen is required to do
Absolutely.
some of
I
that.
understand that. That's what, the way I understood this was they couldn't do any aid unless
But what
they
you
were
can't
okay.
do is you can't eliminate the authority having jurisdiction from the equation and just not tell them about the call, because they have reporting requirements under things like NIFRs and NIMS and all those different issues that we've been talking about.
I understand that. And so the way I understand it is all the calls go in to the dispatch center. The dispatch center then calls you and tells you there's a fire, and you send out your trucks. Now there's another incident, you send out your other trucks. And pretty soon you get to a place where you don't have any more trucks, you don't have any more people available. Now, another call comes in. Under this agreement, the dispatcher just can't call the county and say, go take care of this. They have to call you, and then you have to say, yes, go ahead and send the county.
That is correct. That is correct.
That's what I have a problem with, because that time frame between calling you and getting approval, whatever it is, 30 seconds, a minute, maybe you're out of touch for 3 minutes, the sooner somebody can get there and not cut you out, but let you know, as soon as they can, let you know, yes, we sent this guy, and then you can do it.
There has to be an equal level of service provided, sir. You can't just put out an automatic aid agreement. This is an issue that the district attorney and I have talked about at length. If you're having someone, let's say we're on those calls that you're mentioning, and we're eliminated from the notification process, and it's a cardiac-related care, we're the paramedic level service. You're sending a lesser level of care to a person. Not only that, but you're also dealing with a combination, mostly career department versus an all-volunteer department. Just because there's a notification doesn't mean you're going to have a timelier response by an outside agency. There's a number of things that come into play with this, and this is why it comes back to the IC. Ultimately, it comes back as far as the fires and all the issues that we talked about. It comes upon my shoulders no matter who provides the service within the town of Pahrump.
I understand that.
And that's where the issue is. It's up to us, because nobody knows in dispatch whether or not I have available resources in level 1 staging that are available to go out and take another call.
Okay.
Which is what happens on a regular basis.
I understand that you are ultimately going to be responsible, but it just seems to me that if they could just send whoever's next available, they don't know in dispatch what you have available. I thought that they would, that when you sign on in the morning, you tell them what you have available.
No, sir.
So they don't have that at all either.
No, sir.
To me, it just seems like we should just all work together in that respect. You
and
know,
that's
you
what
tell them, and then.
But that's what a mutual aid agreement is.
Okay.
And
But
that's
they
what
would
this
still
is.
have to check with you, though, before they send anybody, though.
It's the same as just in any jurisdiction, sir. This is not an isolated issue
Oh,
here.
I
in
understand that, but an automatic aid, they would be able to send somebody and then tell you, we sent these guys. Is that correct?
What they should do, if there's resources on a call, another call is received, all they do is say you're receiving an additional dispatch for whatever type of call, and the IC makes a decision whether to exercise a mutual aid agreement or to send appropriate resources that are staged on that incident that are available. And it's based on a number of issues, not just the fact that we're on a call. It's the nature of what service levels is required. We may be within a block of it and be able to handle it much time later. There's a number of things that come into play.
Okay, so you would first call Nye County Services before you call BLM or Las Vegas?
That's the mutual aid agreement, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Osborne, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate for the board that the document that you have in your backup is indeed the document that was approved by the town of Pahrump at their meeting.
We understand that.
All right, I just wanted to be sure, because I heard the DA mention something about he wasn't sure that the paragraph 15 had been in his version, so maybe I misunderstood.
No, I was referring to the agreement that was in place a few years ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's going, you know, he's an old guy, so he's going back.
I just didn't want there to be confusion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've got a letter here from Tom Waters from the Pahrump Town Board. We, the Pahrump Town Board, need the BOCC to make any changes with the DA and the sheriff and approve it and send it back to us. Just to move things along here, I'll second Commissioner Wickman's motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve the document with the changes of the signatories, second by Commissioner Boraski. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Since the town board has requested that we send back any changes, I would like us to, and I don't know how to word, I know this has been going on forever. You know, with all due respect, the DA, the fire chief, and everybody who's going through this, I am not comfortable with having to check before we send out more service. If I'm laying on the highway, I don't care if it's a blue truck or a red truck, whatever's first available, that's what I want. I would, and you can say no, of course, I would like us to have it an automatic aid instead of mutual aid. And if it's up to you to decide whether you want to include that in your motion or not.
Commissioner Shinhofen, I would be willing to withdraw my motion if we could send this back to the town, and if Tony would agree to talk to the people who are necessary to talk to see if any of those, if you guys can arrive at some, how long have you guys been fighting?
Actually, Commissioners, we haven't been fighting. We actually get along, believe it or not.
You know, I used to sit over there. I used to sit over there like 10, 12 years ago, and I remember this taking place back then.
It actually has nothing to do with the sheriff. Actually, it's a simple, and honestly, I asked to have lunch with the chief. We could actually have this thing drawn out. It's making sure that certain lines of encroachment are not occurring.
I understand completely, Tony, and I understand exactly what Scott's telling me. I understand what Brent Jones told me. I understand what the DA, Mr. Kunze, told us, and I also understand what Dan is saying. It's like, this is very, you too, I understand you. The point,
But not me,
what
huh?
Dan said is exactly right. It's exactly right. If I'm laying on the road, I don't care who shows up either, even if it's a citizen. If this mutual aid agreement provides something that we need legally so that we can all work together, that's wonderful. But if you guys are still fighting about the details of this, or if you still have a disagreement about the details of this, and we need to change the signatories on here anyway, because it is an agreement between the town and the county, then I will withdraw my motion and ask that we do that. Direct them to take it back and see if we can make those changes. Now, Mr. Kohlbarger is shaking his head. Would you like to argue with me? I mean, everybody else is getting involved in this.
Yeah,
Sure. Why not, Bill? Why not?
You're shaking your head. I'd like to know why.
And before we're finished, there's a typo.
Sorry, there it is.
Bill Kohlbarger, Trump Town Manager for the record, Kohlbarger. I know it's one of those names. You want to change it to what, ma'am?
The signatories on this need to be a representative from the town and a representative from the county, because it's an agreement between the town and the county.
Wholeheartedly agree to that, ma'am.
Okay. And if you're going to take it back and you're going to look at these, then I encourage the sheriff and Mr. Lewis to talk together if there's any minor little things in there that could be tweaked to make people happy. Not necessarily just to make them happy, but if it serves the purpose and everybody is in agreement, then it's a whole lot easier to say motion to approve. You see what I'm saying?
I totally understand what you're saying, ma'am, and the town, at least the town staff, likes the agreement as is.
Well, I like to be bullheaded once in a while too, but
You get to be, you're an elected
Well,
official,
I've
you're
got
allowed.
I got a motion and a second on the floor unless somebody takes it off.
actually you have no, I said if we could send this back to them, I would withdraw my motion.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Unless you withdraw the motion, I have a motion and a second on the floor.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay. You draw your second?
That
He
was Mr.
seconded.
What happens if I don't?
I have no
Nothing.
idea.
We're gonna arm
Somebody
wrestle
needs to
over it.
make another motion. Okay,
I'll withdraw my second, okay? Let's start again.
I would like to make a motion to send this back to the town board as Dr. Waters requested, with the changes of removing the signatories. The Chief Lewis and Sheriff DeMayo might be able to sit down and discuss their differences on the, what was that phrase?
Unified command. Two
Unified
words.
command. Okay, the
Thank
unified
you.
command. And additionally, I would like to see us, and this will probably kill the thing, but I would like to see it lean towards an automatic aid instead of mutual aid. That's my motion.
You're so close, Bill. You're so close.
Is there a second?
If you do an
I'll
automatic.
second.
Sorry.
I'll second.
And a second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, further discussion.
Sorry about that, Mr. Hollis. I apologize.
That's all right. That's my job.
Bill Kobarger again for the record. If you make it an automatic aid agreement, as we had in the north, then there's going to have to be all kinds of criteria that the dispatch is going to have to be given and followed, and that's going to have to be jointly comprised between the town and the county and any other agency that is dispatched by the dispatch authority.
Here's a suggestion. Why don't you look at the mutual aid, sorry?
Could I make a suggestion for a minute?
Please.
Let's take 5 minutes. Maybe I can get a solution here. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm surprised they don't already do that.
Okay, we're back at the Board of County Commissioners. I think that from the conversation I've heard here today, that we would like, as the Board of County Commissioners, to send this back to the three entities, Brent Jones, the sheriff, especially the sheriff and the fire chief, to sit down in a room and try to work this. We're that close in doing this. And I think if we can play with the words, and I think that the sheriff and the fire chief and everybody can work this out.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If I could, I am not advocating for the county services over the town services. I am advocating for what I believe is best for the citizens. I live in Pahrump. I've had the town fire services, like I said at the beginning, respond. They do a great job. And I'm surprised to find that our dispatch now doesn't have all the inventory and whatever that takes for the dispatch to have everything to be able to send out whoever is first available. That's what I'm asking for in an automatic aid agreement.
And no disrespect, Commissioner, but
Yes, sir.
The fact of the matter is, Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue is our primary responder along with the ambulance service, and there's reasons for that. And, not to go on here, but, and they will always continue to be the primary as far as we recognize them as being that. They're by ordinance and by jurisdiction.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for one to take over the other. I understand that the town and the chief has that primary responsibility. It just, to be able to have to stop and ask, can we, is to me unacceptable. It's what's best for the citizens. To me, this is my opinion again, and that's why I'm asking it should be automatic aid, and if that, I was told, has to be because the dispatch has to have more information or has to have certain other, well, then that's what I'm asking for. And that would not take away from the chief. It would not take away from Pahrump Fire. It would just end up being whoever's first available would go. And then when the chief is freed up and his units are freed up, they would come in and take over the scene because that is their responsibility. So again, this is not, to me, and it shouldn't be, any kind of pissing match between the county and the town. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing that everywhere I go. We don't agree. I'm looking for what's best for the citizens, period. Thank you.
And compromise is the,
And I don't think we need a motion on it. I think the board can.
well, you need to
direct-
withdraw, I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, so I need to withdraw the motion?
I think we can direct
Directed
staff to go into letting those guys come back and bring it back to us, hopefully the next meeting, guys. So let's sit down and work out what we can, but, Commissioner Shannon, I'll have to disagree with you on the way the structure is done. Chief Lewis has control over the ambulance service, and the sheriff's department and dispatchers doesn't always know exactly what kind of manpower he has on the street. It doesn't take that long for Scott Lewis to get on the radio and says, I don't have the manpower, call whatever available unit you have. It happens in a matter of seconds, and I believe that is the way it's being done right now. So I don't think that's going to happen, and I think their ordinance says that that they have the power to regulate ambulance and fire and that kind of stuff within the town of Pahrump. So what I'm trying to do is get the mutual aid agreement squared away, and I think it's down to language, a few words, and I think that the fire chief and the sheriff can sit down in a matter of an hour or so and come up with some agreement. So could we have this back on the agenda, Rick, for the next meeting, whether it's...
We're happy to put it back, but have you scheduled a meeting for the people that are kind of in disagreement right now on?
I think they'll schedule the meeting between themselves and hash it out. And
Today?
whether it's in Pahrump or Tonopah, it doesn't make any difference. Let's get this on.
Yeah,
Let's
I'll
get
buy
this
lunch.
on for the next meeting. Go ahead, Bill.
I'll buy lunch.
Question, do you want us, if there are changes, you want us to take it back to the town board before we bring it back to you guys?
I think you'd
Because
have.
then that may
I
delay
think-
it, bringing it back to you guys at the next meeting.
Well,
That's the question I'm asking
You have, your chairman has the right to call a special meeting if he wants to and get it right back to us as soon as you can. Or if you're close to a town board, a regular meeting, you can get it on and send it back to me, and then I can get a telephone conference to get it okay. But let's really try and put all this aside, and let's talk about getting this done. Okay?
Over lunch?
I know a good
Cool.
place.
I'll buy the lunch, just to get it done. Rick?
Does
Whether
that
it's in-
include travel to the place where we're going? Because I know a really nice restaurant in Maui.
I got a patrol car that can pick you up and deliver you.
I know a nice place that's closer.
Rick, I don't care if the meeting's in Pahrump or in Tonopah.
Or a
Let-
special meeting?
A special meeting, whatever it takes to get this done, okay? We'll be back at 1:30. Get the Board of County Commissioners meeting. We're gonna go back to item 20D, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision concerning a request to approve a mutual aid agreement with the town of Pahrump. Rick, I think if I'm not badly mistaken, I need a motion and a second to reconsider.
I don't think you ever actually took formal action to. Yeah, I think
Huh?
everything was, yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to ask.
Just go back to.
Okay, all right. We're going back to this item. Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a win-win today, because I had lunch bought for me too, by the sheriff. and
Can I give you my receipt?
That's the first.
Well, you're good, you're good, because he ain't never bought me lunch.
But we did get all the issues worked out, resolved, and you're good to move ahead. And if you are so inclined to approve this, ask you to deliberate and consider it. As is, we reached accord, so everything is good to go, with the exception that you do not need Scott Lewis or Brent Jones to sign the document. Just the two chairmen and the sheriff would be the signatories.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve as stated.
Spell my name right, please.
I'll second with discussion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Boraski to approve with the changes noted, second by Commissioner Wickman. Commissioner Wickman, you have the floor.
Did I understand you correctly to say the chairman of the town board, the chairman of the commission, the county commission,
Yes.
and the sheriff would sign?
The chairman of our county board and the chairman of the town board and the sheriff would be the only signatories.
Okay, I just want to
Further
make sure. I
discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On number 11 in this agreement, the 1, 2, 3, fourth line, it says agreement until participation in this agreement is terminated by the party. That line is vague to me, and does it mean by either party? What party does it mean? Are we going to have a party? Anyway, it's the 1, 2, 3, fourth line under number 11. Under this agreement, until participation in this agreement is terminated by the party.
Should say parties.
The thing that one of the typos.
Well, I don't want to presuppose what the DA might say, but I'll defer to him.
Actually, because it says "the party," it's talking about each party, so that's really just to be correct as far as usage of singular versus plurals. So that's actually accurate.
That is correct.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just kind of cumbersome or whatever.
Because it's referring to the party who's actually,
The party that's going to.
that's doing the termination.
All right, my other concern is number 6. This contract is solely for the benefit of the parties and does not create any third-party liability. I guess that was my concern all along, that this contract's solely for the benefit of the parties, and I haven't heard what you've ironed out. I mean, just that you guys agree. And I would, again, still prefer an automatic aid agreement. So there's my comments, and please call for the vote.
Okay. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-1 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Okay. We have guests here today from the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe. I'm going to go ahead and bring this item up. It'll be the 1 o'clock timed item. And we'll talk presentation by Virginia Sanchez, Duckwater Shoshone Tribal Planner, concerning the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe land expansion. Virginia, welcome to, well, you live in Nikkei, but welcome to Pahrump. So nice to see you guys here today. Wait 1 minute. Let me see if, have you got enough for? Have you got enough for the public in case they want?
Actually, I think the resolution was missing, wasn't it?
I've got a resolution.
Do you?
Yes, you have the resolution back. And the letter from.
I've got the letter and.
We don't need to accept additional documentation? Okay. Virginia, go ahead. Would you turn your mic on?
Hit the button on the base.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Chairman Hollis and the county commissioners. I am Virginia Sanchez. I'm the tribal chairwoman for the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe. And today I have with me Pat Knight, who is the tribal manager, Maria Razzo, who is with Natural Resource Group and a consultant to the tribe. And we are very pleased to be able to present to you for your consideration a resolution of support to the Duckwater tribe for an expansion of our reservation boundary. And I would like to draw your attention to a map that is part of your package, and it is identified as figure 1.2.
That's one.
See, it's figure 1.
There we go.
Oh, that one. Okay, this one.
Industrial and grazing areas.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it was. That's what they want.
Over the past few years, the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe has revisited key efforts to expand the current Duckwater Reservation boundary. We have recently discussed our expansion plans with federal and state officials, including White House senior staff, representatives in the U.S. Congress, the Governor of Nevada, our state representatives. We have also met with many government agencies. That includes the Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Division of State Lands. We've also met with our neighbors, which includes county commissioners, business leaders, and all of the Nevada tribes through the Intertribal Council of Nevada with 27 tribal elected representatives. We listened closely to their input and suggestions, as well as considered input received from past public and agency reviews of our expansion efforts. In response, we believe we have developed a proposed reservation boundary expansion that will meet our economic needs, minimize conflicts with agencies and our neighbors, and provide benefit to the counties included in the expansion. We are currently pursuing the expansion of our reservation boundary by two possible methods. One is through talks with the Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, and Bureau of Indian Affairs in an effort to obtain an interagency land transfer, or through the development of a tribal legislative package and passage of this legislation through U.S. Congress. An important element in us succeeding in our endeavor is the support of local government bodies, including Nye County. And you have the attached resolution, which we will read shortly. I brought your attention to the territorial and grazing area map. And what I'd like you to notice is the existing Shoshone Reservation, which is that tiny little red piece right in the middle along State Highway 379, is approximately 3,850 acres. We are proposing to expand our reservation to 235,000 acres, which is approximately our BLM grazing area. And that grazing area is 274,000. The grazing area is the pink. The expanded boundary is identified with the violet purple area. This figure also indicates the tribe's ancestral historic use territory in the light green, which is over 3 million acres. So as you can see, we've gone from the historic use area, 3 million. We went down to the Duckwater allotment, which is the 800,000 acres. The pink area is our grazing portion of that larger allotment, and our expansion area almost follows the grazing allotment area that the tribe currently uses. What you will see, turn the page, and the next map is figure 1.3. It shows you a closer figure of the Duckwater Shoshone Reservation with the proposed reservation expanded boundary. And you will see that Nye County and White Pine County are about 50-50% in each county for the expanded area. We also thought it very important to share with the board our primary objectives for expanding the existing reservation boundary. Several years ago, we began our journey to develop a tribal sustainability plan, which is attached in front of these maps that you just took a look at. And the sustainability plan is a roadmap for the tribe's survival and growth. One of the primary objectives of our plan is to identify ways that we can become more self-sufficient and provide enhancements to our current economic and community conditions. After completing the plan, one key action item identified to ensure the tribe's successful future is the reservation expansion. And the expansion would allow for the necessary land needed to initiate improvements to our agricultural operations, our infrastructure, and to explore other business ventures, including renewable energy development. As stated in the draft resolution, the tribe intends to honor the existing grazing rights of others within the proposed expanded reservation, and it would also apply to water right holders. We've done a search, and within the expansion area, the only current water right holders is the tribe. Everyone else borders south and east of our expanded boundary area. We believe that the counties would also benefit from the expansion of our lands. This benefit would increase in goods and services as the tribe moves forward in implementing the economic portions of our plan. We plan to include the county in discussions related to any economic impact studies we perform related to the reservation expansion. It's our hope that the county would also benefit economically by increased activity on our reservation. We employ individuals right now from Southern Railroad Valley off the reservation right around the little community of Current, and individuals from Ely, Nevada. And in regards to the Department of Interior's payment in lieu of taxes, the PILT, it's our understanding that there would not be a decrease in PILT funds to the county as a result of the reservation expansion, as there is a limit on federal dollars received from PILT based on population and not acreage. And in this area, it's all BLM managed lands that is north of us. There is nobody living in the area except the wildlife. Yeah, and horses and cows and sheep. There are some sheep that graze through the area. We would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for considering our resolution, and would once again like to emphasize the importance of your support. And we're committed to answering any questions that you all may have for us. What I'd like to do before you ask the questions is to point out the resolution, and I would like to ask the Tribal Manager, Pat Knight, to read the resolution if that is all right with the Commission.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Nye County Resolution Number 2011-96, a resolution providing support to the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe for their proposed land expansion. Whereas the Duckwater Shoshone Indian Reservation is located in Nye County, Nevada. Whereas the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe, in order to sustain itself in the coming century, knows that economic development cannot take place until the present reservation boundaries are expanded. And whereas the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe has spent several years developing its present infrastructure, maximizing its housing for its tribal members, and authorizing its land assignment holders to farm and ranch their individual assignments. And whereas the tribe has come to realize that additional expansion efforts for economic self-sufficiency cannot take place on the present land base. And whereas the tribe has identified additional lands all north of the present reservation that they currently use for livestock grazing based on grazing rights acquired through the original purchase of the reservation in 1940. And whereas the tribe is aware of other permittees within the Duckwater allotment grazing area, and the tribe intends to honor the terms and conditions as set forth in their present grazing and related water permits with the Bureau of Land Management and any other permittees identified therein. Whereas the tribe has identified business opportunities, including renewable energy projects, which lie in this expanded land base that would provide a revenue stream to the tribe that would carry it and its members into the future, always working towards economic self-sufficiency, serving as the first stewards of the land, and providing an opportunity to retain its membership and to bring the younger generations back home. Editorial comment there, that is a very most important part of this whole thing, is to be able to provide homes and economic opportunities back in Duckwater for the younger generation that we're losing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of the County Commissioners of the County of Nye, State of Nevada, does hereby find, resolve, and support the Duckwater Shoshone Tribe in their efforts to move their people forward and their efforts to provide themselves with a strong economic base. Be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Nye County go on record supporting the Duckwater Tribe's efforts and applaud them in working towards economic self-sufficiency. Approved this 16th day of August, 2011.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Pat. I would like to be able to introduce Maria Razzo now. She has worked extensively with the tribe over the last several years. We have done land use planning with Natural Resource Group. She has also been instrumental in creating a relationship with Mount Wheeler, the rural cooperative. And we've received a grant from the Bureau of Indian Affairs to do a feasibility assessment study of renewable energy on the reservation. And I'd like to have her speak a little bit about that.
Is this on? Yeah. Okay, good afternoon. And can I go through these real quick too, the letters of support?
Sure.
Okay. Also, what's not in your package is that the Duckwater Tribe, as well as Natural Resource Group, have gotten letters of support from community members, and we can provide these to the record after the meeting. But one is from the Intertribal Council of Nevada, and that's a consortium of over 27 tribes that have supported this expansion. In addition to support, they've received a championship award from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for the management of critical habitat on their reservation. They have 2 warm springs, the little and the big warm springs, and they've reintroduced the species there, and they've actually won a championship award by working really well with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Also, the BLM, we've met with the BLM numerous times, and though they can't go on record to support the project, they said that they will continue to work with the tribe. Barrick Mining has also provided a letter of support with conditions, of course, because they're working with the tribe on legislation. They're helping. Mount Wheeler, we've forged a great relationship with Mount Wheeler, which is a co-op, and one of the things that we're doing as a consultant to the tribe, as well as with renewable energy developers, we're looking at ways to improve the infrastructure going south of the tribe, and that's through working with the co-op Mount Wheeler, and they would benefit greatly, as well as the residents in Railroad Valley, if we can get a package together to improve those lines. And also looking at going north of the tribe, which is the NV Energy lines that run north of the tribe. And depending on the size of the development will determine which set of lines that they ultimately use for any project that might go forward. As Virginia mentioned, the BIA grant that was provided to the tribe, it will provide the baseline studies, both land use, economic, markability, transmission, infrastructure. There's a whole host of studies going on as we speak to look at the land base there. And any development that occurs there, specifically will start with the transmission, will be a benefit to Nye County, because that'll provide jobs and a better electric infrastructure for the whole area. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is great for the tribe, but it's also, there's a lot of opportunity here too for the county and for other neighbors of the tribe to benefit from what may be going on in the future. So. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 things, and I'm not saying that I won't support the resolution, but as you know, we have different departments here in the county, and I was really wondering why the Natural Resource Director wasn't involved in this. We need to look at the people that may have oil rights and mining claims and such forth. 2, we're concerned I'm concerned that you're gonna have to do a lands bill in the Congress to get this passed. Am I correct?
It's one of two.
It's actually a tribal, it's not a lands bill from like a county lands bill. It's a specific lands bill for tribal governments.
Well, we understand that, but we want to make sure that Darrell Lacey and his department understands that we are not in any way subject to a lands bill, no matter who does it. Because once we open that door, then the environmentalists across the country is going to be coming across Nye County with 3 to 4 million acres of wilderness. And we're not opening that door. We've never signed on to a lands bill, even though it might give us some land and such forth, but we know what we're going to lose if we open that door. So there's only 2 things that I have, is I want to make sure that Levi Crowder checks out and staff checks out to make sure they do a study on the mining claims in the area. Are you listening, Lorinda?
Lorinda doesn't have anything.
Lorena. We need to make sure that the study's done for the mining claims and see if there's any oil rights in that area. She's already, you've got grazing, whoever's grazing in the area is signed on to this, so that's not a problem. So, Darrell, is that what is that where we need to go?
Levi's on vacation, but I'll pass it on to him and we'll get,
Can we get this back? How long is it going to take Levi to do his study so we can get this back on for the tribe?
Get him back from vacation.
hopefully we can get all this in a couple of weeks, Gary.
Okay. Is that agreeable to give us a little time to do some?
And just to give you some background, as far as the information that the tribe's been collecting over the several years, as far as resources, natural resources and development, it's taken time, just to get the resource study started. So they're just in the beginning of those. So this would be a great time. We've thought about coming forward and discussing it previously, but we had to get the information together before we could come before the board and feel comfortable with it.
We understand how it works. I mean, we deal with this every 2 weeks. So we know how it works, but I just think that we need to let Darrell and his staff and Levi look into a few things and bring it back. And I know Commissioner Easley was concerned about the lands bill, so let's just check it out and then bring it back in 30 days, or we can bring it back in a Tonopah meeting. It'll be easier on the tribe. So we go up, the first meeting of the month is always held in Tonopah, so it'd be easier for you to get to Tonopah than it would be here all the way to Pahrump.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I might. Other than the concerns that the chairman answered, or addressed, he didn't answer them, that he addressed. What you noted as your most important reason to bring the younger generation back home, yes. I really like that. I would support that, provided we're not stepping on anybody else's rights. And I understand that you've stated you honor those rights, but we need to be sure that we're not cutting anybody else out. But I do applaud you for moving that forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do. Virginia, it's my turn. Sorry. Actually, Commissioner Hollis is absolutely right. When you were speaking, you said that you had 2 methods by which to get this through. One was land trade with BLM, yes, and the other would be a congressional action. This board has already adopted resolutions in the past and reiterated those resolutions in the past that we will not enter into a lands bill. So if it's a congressional action, let's see if we can promote or push that other opportunity that you had as a land exchange. Darrell, what I would like to add to your list of things to check out is there's a county-maintained road that goes through Duckwater. I would like to maintain the same agreements that we have, but extend that to the RS 2477 with your help. With your help on that, okay? So if it is determined that there's RS 2477 road right-of-ways that need to remain
yes,
in that jurisdiction, that we pursue those. If it is determined that they don't, then we wouldn't be a big deal, but it will take it won't take much time at all. The only other question that I had for you is, you indicated all the support that you have gained and that you've gathered from everyone. Have you been before the White Pine Commission?
Not yet, but we've been attempting to meet with Chairman Lampros, and we are planning to be on their agenda in September.
Oh, okay.
September or October.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Along with Eureka County. We're also going to meet with Eureka County.
Oh, wonderful.
Commission.
Good.
Also,
Yes.
even though it doesn't directly affect, we're going to border them.
You'll have to pull your mic up, Pat, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we intend to also meet with Eureka County Commission. Even though it is not encompassed in Eureka County, it borders them on the two sides, north and west.
Yeah.
So we intend to meet with them also.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Boy, that's the only thing I had. Gerald, I think you need to work with them directly on those, because I think a lot of the questions that we have on natural resources have already been answered by the tribe. They shared a number of things with me in the past that I can't remember exactly what was going on, but I think they've done a lot of that in the past, so maybe if you guys could swap cards or whatever. Good deal. All right.
All right, thank you so very much.
Commissioner Brackey, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I want to commend you on your due diligence that you've done on this. I realize you guys have been working on it for years, but this is a very complete package, and I really appreciate it. I'm proud.
Thank you.
They're in my
Thank you
district.
very much.
Thank you, and hopefully we can have this back on the Tonopah agenda real soon, and so you might get the support you need.
Thank you. And the tribe is looking for any sort of support, general support. We're willing to revise this resolution if necessary.
Yeah,
We're open to discussion.
Well, let me give you a little help here. We do have a lot of experience. Our staff has a lot of experience in renewable energy. Gerald Lacey and his staff, they work on renewable energy every day. So they may be a tool for you to latch on to and see if you can get some help from them. But you're residents of Nye County, and we want to represent you too. So if you need him, he's there at your disposal.
Thank you, Chairman Hollis.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Since you did mention that you could revise that resolution, in there where you talk about just supporting the whole action, if you could specify in there that we would be supporting the land exchange with the BLM and be specific about that, so it's not an option for the congressional action, that would help take us a lot further down the road.
For ours.
Okay? If that's possible.
Thank you.
Do we need to come back to be on? Do we need to come back for a request to be on the next agenda, or how do we handle that?
You can handle that with Lorena and Daryl Lacey, and as soon as he gets his due diligence work done, then Lorena will put it on the agenda. And let's do it Tonopah. I don't want them traveling all the way down here. It's a long way. So, and we meet there every month, so
Okay.
be easier for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And have a nice day. Long ride back home.
Pam, is this an issue that he's working on to fix, or is it, there's no fix? So chances are there's not going to be a fix on this
Okay,
end.
we'll go to item 23A, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision to award request for proposal 2011-11 roof-mounted, and I'm going to say PV solar system, and the amount of the bid is $89,950. And that will be financed, which will be Pam Webster. You're up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Daryl and Bob worked directly with this grant for this system. I would ask you if you have any questions to direct them to Daryl and Bob. If you don't have any questions, I would ask you to award as recommended by staff.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we can make a motion to approve 23A based on staff recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve based on staff recommendation, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Item 23B, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to approve a court view data conversion extract project to retrieve all justice data for the new case management system and an estimated total of $66,950.
Mr. Chairman, I read the backup on this, and it wasn't quite clear to me. I'm hoping if, Pam, could you please explain this to me, how we
Yeah, I just
have
thought
to
we
pay
just
for...
approved $500,000 for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pam,
That's to purchase and implement the system. This little addition, I said shakingly, is the cost the state is charging us to extract our own data from the court view system. It's the data that we have developed, created, and own, and this is what we're being charged to extract it from their system and put it into New Dawn.
If I could, Mr. Chairman.
It is for all three courts.
Unfortunately,
No, you have a conflict of interest here. Because you want this system.
Well, actually, this is going to be a huge plus for the county because now all of our court systems will be on the exact same system that the DA's office currently has.
Sounds like extortion to me.
No, it's the thing is we will not have to, the capabilities of doing electronic filing and things of that nature is really going to be a huge plus. And it is unfortunate, but the problem is that you can't really implement the new system without being able to draw out. And so this is the cost of basically getting the two systems to talk to each other. And
Let me give you for instance. Why didn't this come in one package instead of keep coming back? Putting something else on the system. I mean, can't we get something in one time?
That was my fault, Commissioner. We had a quote that we had to get updated for current effectivity with the New Dawn approval. And frankly, I was hoping it would not be this much.
But this is, you're saying this is being charged from, the state is charging.
This is to get our historical data off of court view and to migrate it into New Dawn so that as we use the new system, we have history for any kind of new cases coming through, so you have a complete picture of that individual's history in the system.
So
we will be extracting the AS400 data and moving it to New Dawn, but this is to extract the data from the state system.
So the state is charging us to get our own data.
And the clerk's office is not on a state system, so hopefully it'll be much cheaper when we extract that information.
Oh, okay. So the state is kind of balancing
Ours
the books
is
on
not
our
state,
back.
so.
Yeah.
I think I heard a nanner in there.
Well, there's also a significant amount of data on the AS400, which is our own system. So we will be able to migrate that, but this is for the state.
The state's charging us for our own information. That's the bottom line, right?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So we need it. We have to have it. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Passes 3-1. And the reason I voted no on this, I voted no on the original package of $500,000. So I'm just trying to be consistent. That okay with you?
He's looking for your approval, Brian.
I mean, you're looking at me. I don't know. Item C, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision to award RFP 2011-12, remodel of the Pahrump District Court area, and the amount of low bid is $276,425. $173,000 of the funding is budgeted from the approved 10% holdback from the original courthouse capital project. And the rest of the funding will come from 493 special capital, and that's $103,425.
Sorry, Commissioner,
No,
that's
that-
491.
Huh?
From 491. The second portion
Oh.
is from 491.
Says 493 here.
No, it doesn't. You read the sentence incorrectly.
Okay, 491. Special capital project.
It seems since we got the new DA, we're spending a lot of money in the courts. I'm kidding, I know.
But I agree with you. I was saying the same thing.
Motion to approve 23C and number 2 on 23C, execute the contract with Mountain Vista Development.
Second.
Do we have the money for, I have a motion by Commissioner.
I believe, I'm sorry, should we back up and ask Pam?
No, it's in your backup.
Shinhopin to
Yeah.
approve, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion. Do we have, can we continue doing this? I mean, it's a lot of money.
We're not going to continue doing this.
Okay.
We're doing this, but we're not going to continue.
That courthouse is
No.
getting way up there in the millions.
Well, hopefully it'll be done.
Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Oh, yeah, I got to adjust this.
Passes 3-1 with Commissioner Easton not present. Item 23D, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to accept and or reject the fee schedule presented by the finalists for request for qualifications. Information technology expansion. The cost of the service is a fixed fee of $58,500, and it will be funded from $499 bond proceeds.
Motion to approve and execute the contract.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve and execute contract, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Item 24A, and I'm sure this is why Shirley's here. Action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to approve the revised interlocal contract among Department of Health and Human Services Division of Healthcare, Finance, and Policy.
Could I comment, Mr. Chairman? I'm not sure, Shirley, we have some issues with this contract, and several other counties have started and have been negotiating with the state. There's some significant liability issues for us, given the fact that we do not have enough medical indigent funds to pay our portion of what this would require us to do. So I think what I would recommend, and we're trying to piggyback on what some of the other counties are doing, that we can eliminate some of the burdens that this may put on us, that I would ask that it would be better for us not to pursue, not to agree to the contract at this time. We will bring it back once we are able to see whether or not we can do some of the negotiations that are ongoing.
We're just going to prolong this and just bring it back at a different time?
Well, yeah, we'll continue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, Dan MacArthur just walked in the room. Huh? Thought that was a ghost.
We're in trouble now.
25A.
How about the 2 o'clock?
Oh,
She's coming.
would you please contact HR and tell them I'm ready for them? I'll see if I can find something else to go to.
She's on her way.
We'll go to 27A, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision on a request to set a date, time, and location for public hearing on Nye County Bill 2011-11, a bill proposing to amend Nye County Ordinance 410, an ordinance that adopts the development agreement with Solar Reserve, Tonopah Solar Energy. Darrell Lacey. You're up, Darrell.
This is just setting a time and date for a public hearing, isn't it?
What you're doing is amending the original
That's correct, Commissioner. We have the development agreement currently in place with Solar Reserve that was approved a couple of months ago. This is a minor amendment, but it's good for the county in that it increases the number of local hires and gives them a incentive to do so.
I think this is something that the local bargaining units in Southern Nevada wanted to bring through, right? Okay.
Then do you have a suggestion for the date and time?
September 6th, 10:45.
September 6th at 10:45 is my motion.
Second.
Commissioner Wickman made a motion to set the date, time, and location of September 6th at 10:45 at Tonopah, Nevada. Second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Is HR present?
You have to read the title.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to need help. Can I have your agenda, please? 27A.
I don't have a 27A.
I do.
I got a 27B. I don't have a 27A.
I got a 27A here.
Here you go.
He had one, I didn't. They always do this to me.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
This is a bill, Bill number 2011-11, a bill proposing to amend the adopted development agreement with Tonopah Solar Energy LLC for the Crescent Dunes solar energy project located in the southern portion of Big Smoky Valley, north of U.S. Highway 95-6 along the Gabbs Pole Line Road, State Highway 89, was proposed by the Board of County Commissioners at its August 16th
You
meeting.
got the wrong one?
Yeah, but I got it out of there, I think. Is it much different?
Yeah, it's where the summary is.
No, it's where the title is. Crescent Dunes located north. Is that close enough, Sam, or do you need the title? And all other matters properly related thereto. That's the only thing that was missing.
That's close enough. You got it.
Got it.
She nailed it.
There, we can have that back.
That's censorship at its quickest.
Okay, is she there? HR.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Item 25A, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision, and direction to staff to authorize the hiring of one temporary deputy sheriff in the sheriff's office. This position came vacant when the deputy was deployed for a period of 400 days. Okay. Pam.
It's an HR item?
Yes. I don't know if you have any questions. The employee will be deployed. There's a portion of the salary that's budgeted that we will be required to pay to PERS per statute. We're required to continue to pay PERS based on the amount of salary that he would have received had he still been here. And so they want to use the remaining part of the salary to fill the position with a temporary employee during his employment.
Danelle, is it staff recommendation to approve this from in-house or outside advertising?
They want to be able to use the fill the position from their current hiring list.
Is that the recommendation of your office?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have that, Gary. I can't access it. Sorry. Well, you're not going to hand me your whole agenda. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Boraski. Further discussion? Call for the question.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Easton not present.
I just wanted to point out that this is a temporary position. It will not be funded into the next fiscal year upon the return of the employee that has been deployed, and so that will be the understanding of this recruiting
Okay, 25B, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision, and direction to staff to authorize the in-house advertising and filling of one detention technician in the Tonopah Sheriff's Office.
The request here is for the in-house advertising and filling of this position. It's a detention position that is vacant due to the deputy filling a grant position that was approved in June.
So this is a budgeted position from 101, and they're
Yes.
requesting it being filled from in-house advertising only. Motion to approve.
Initially, yes.
Second.
You make the motion?
Mhm.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhope. Further discussion?
Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
He's a commissioner. That's weird. You called me worse.
Yeah, an hour ago, no.
Yeah. Right after the meeting.
Danelle, this has been advertised in-house, and they
No.
do have candidates, is that correct?
No, this one has not. The detention position has not. I don't believe we've advertised this position.
Oh, this is Tonopah, I'm sorry, all right.
I think that was Pahrump.
Isn't that right, Sheriff? This
That's-
one hasn't been advertised.
That's correct. The one in Pahrump has
One in
been.
Pahrump.
Yes.
And they did find a local candidate within in-house for that position, so it is paying off to advertise even for these in-house.
Okay.
Call for the
Sam?
question.
Did I call for the question already or not?
No.
Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Easton not present. I get lost in this conversation sometimes, too. Especially when the DA's at it. 25C, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision, and direction to staff to authorize the in-house advertising and filling of a vacant legal secretary for the Pahrump District Attorney's Office. I knew this was coming. Gee. Now we got legal secretary. HR recommends in-house advertising and filling of this position.
See, more stuff for the DA, what'd I tell you?
Didn't we move this into the construction budget? No.
Can you move me?
I thought we removed it from 101, didn't we? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve, second by Commissioner Boraski. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Item 25D, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to direction to staff to set a date, time, and location for a public hearing to consider approval of the Nye County Law Enforcement Association agreement.
Mr. Chairman, do we need 30 days, or can we just set it for September 6th?
No, the recommendation is for September. I'm sorry.
Is it for September 6th? Well, then
Yes.
Per staff recommendation, set it for September 6th in Tonopah. That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to set the date, time, and location for September 6, 2011 at 10:45 a.m. Commissioners' Chambers in Tonopah. Second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. Item 25E, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision and direction to staff to set a date, time, and location for a public hearing to consider the approval of Nye County Law Enforcement Management Association agreement.
I believe we do it the same date. Is that what the backup is?
That's what the backup
Set it for September 6th, Tonopah Chambers. My motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to set September 6, 2011 at 10:45. Tonopah Commissioners' Chambers, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present. 25F, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision and direction staff to authorize the advertising and filling of one deputy clerk in the Tonopah Clerk's Office. Is this the one we deny?
Oh.
Which one is that?
Shoot him. Can I just
Motion
shoot?
to
You want me to get him
approve.
for
No.
you? Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shinhopin to approve, second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion?
Yes, I just have a question. I don't have the backup in front of me. What is HR recommending? Are they recommending that I can advertise outside for this?
Yes, we are. We're
Okay.
recommending that we're advertised without limiting the recruitment to in-house only.
Thank you.
Anywhere
Thank
you, anywhere you can
Thank
find someone.
Thank you.
And it also states on here,
Call
for
for the
public
question. All in
record.
favor before I lose this?
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And by the way,
Anybody opposed?
I did motion that first, so, but that's okay.
Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Easton.
By the way, I may apply.
For the
Thank you.
record, that is a budgeted position?
Yes, budgeted.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it is.
And thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to 27B, action, discussion, deliberation, and possible decision to ratify the Board of County Commissioners emergency action taken on July 26, 2011 teleconference to join the initiated lawsuit to force the Department of Energy to complete the license process.
Motion to approve 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Boraski to approve 1, 2, and 3, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Eastley not present.
Mr. Chairman, are
Yes,
we
ma'am.
going to return to 20D, or is that still going to be in September?
Which one you be?
One with Tony and,
We've done past that.
it did.
I was wondering about the 2 o'clock item.
Item 30, we'll make that last.
Okay.
Got to mark it.
Action 30A, action, discussion, deliberation, possible decision regarding a request for approval to, and we'll go one of these at a time. Number 1, waive the omission of Wolfenstein Construction Company to include service provider for the foreign listing subcontractors as service provider.
Come up, Dave, I got questions.
That 20D was a 3-1.
Good, I need a drink of water.
I need a drink.
Mr. Chairman, we've been having some discussions on this, and for legal reasons, I would ask that we pull 1 and 2 of this item.
Okay, we're going to pull 1 and 2 based on staff recommendation. Is that correct, Mr. Okay.
Dave, is that?
We'll go to item 3, approval of the contract with Aikens for the amount of not to exceed $120,000 to perform construction management for the project.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And just to clarify, this is contingent upon.
Wait, I got a motion and second. I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin.
And for the
Further
record,
discussion?
it is contingent.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the board understands it's contingent upon the receipt of the grant funds.
Yes.
Yeah. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Easton not present. Item number 4, authorize the county manager to submit a grant application to the FAA to obtain $969,000 in federal funding for the project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Easton not present. Item number 5, authorize the county manager to execute the grant offer in the approximate amount of $969,000 when it is received from the FAA.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wickman to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Commissioner Easton not present.
Thank you.
We missing
So,
anything?
may I ask a question, please? So, Brian, you'll bring those 1 and 2, will be back on the next agenda, or we're going to have a special meeting for that?
No, we'll be able to bring it back. And there's no real time crunch on it because until the grant
Oh,
funds
okay,
come in,
okay.
it's really not that important.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go to 2 o'clock item report on the cash flow evaluation of Pahrump Utilities Incorporated for Nye County, conducted by Dan MacArthur. Come on, Dan. Been so long since you've been here, you don't even know how to act.
You're making me nervous. You're the only one then. Oh, I'm sorry, my mic was.
Dan says they.
Is there enough for the general public?
Yes. It's in Tona Pond, Beatty.
Okay. We need to ask for additional documentation, don't you think, Brian?
You don't really.
It's additional documentation.
There really is no need for you to make a motion to receive it. It's just that they, if they do provide additional information, it just has to be made available to the public at the same time.
All right. Whatever you say. You're the one that's supposed to be keeping me out of trouble.
Maybe I'm trying to get you in jail.
There's a whole lot of people around here like to see that, including the guy sitting in front of me. Dan, how you been? You know, you won't answer your phone.
Can you blame him?
No. Whose side are you on?
Past life, I was an accountant.
Yeah, remember, you may need me one of these days.
No, I was just saying in a past life, I used to be an accountant, so. Yeah.
Now look where she's at.
Did I go up, lateral,
now look
or
where
backwards?
she's at. Yeah? You forgot, you know, I have to turn the mic on?
It looked like the light was on. Dan MacArthur, I'm the independent auditor for Nye County. I'm here today concerning a special report requested by the commission to be performed by me. I performed what is deemed a agreed-upon procedures engagement. Specifically, I was asked to examine or review specific records related to Pahrump Utilities, Inc., Pahrump Utility Company, Inc., in relation to a possible purchase of the utility by the county. The report you have in front of you, you see the headings there, procedures and findings, procedures. I reviewed the financial statements, the general ledgers of the utility. I reviewed documentation supporting assets, liabilities, revenues, and expense of the utility, performed on-site tours of the utility operations, and also engaged in interviews with management of the utility. In addition, I made contacts to the U.S. Department of Agriculture concerning potential financing for the purchase of the utility. My report initially starting out with a company overview, and I'll try to keep this condensed, but some of this we may go through this word for word. Just to begin with, PUCI, referencing the Pahrump Utility Company, Inc., is currently permitted by the Public Utilities Commission to provide water and wastewater services to customers within its approved service area. The current service area consists of land that has approved development agreements and/or final maps that have been approved by Nye County. Based on the approved agreements or final maps and/or final maps, at build-out, there is 12,184 water and 10,447 wastewater equivalent dwelling units possible. The utility currently serves customers with equivalent dwelling units of 726 for water, 822 for wastewater. In addition, the utility is receiving standby fees from those who would be equivalent dwelling units of 6,740 water equivalent dwelling units and 3,089 wastewater equivalent dwelling units. Just to go into page number 2, the top of the page, just to discuss equivalent dwelling units for just a minute. See, that's why I don't call him on the phone, because he just starts talking while I'm talking to him, see?
That has got to cost the man.
$50 fine, he said if it rang.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be a $100 fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'd say it's just a wee bit hypocritical.
Oh, we're back.
Do you know how much that would have cost any of the rest of us, Mr. Chairman? I think you...
Commissioner Eastley conveying that she will be back with us in 10 minutes. Oh. I took the call because it was another commissioner, and I would do it for any of you.
Oh.
Mr. Chair,
Man, that's being spread
Mr.
so
Chairman.
thick.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to take a short break so Commissioner
Could we
Easley
please,
can-
so she can hear
Okay,
this?
we'll take 5. We're back at the Board of County Commissioners. Commissioner Easley can join us once you get there.
I'm here, Gary. Thank you very much. That was thoughtful. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was Pam Wester asked me to break for a little bit. So, all right, Dan.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I am in the conference room alone, except for Brent Jones. He's in here with me.
Okay, we're going to be talking with Dan MacArthur, and then we'll go to some planning items, and then we're going to go into closed session. Go ahead, Dan. You know, accountants talking to death, so be prepared.
Abuse.
Nobody is spared today, I swear.
Well, I heard you getting it too. I know. Okay, I'll continue on with my report concerning the potential purchase of the Pahrump Utility Company. Okay, rather than become an accountant and go through every single page and every single dollar number with you, all right, then I'm just going to hit some highlights on here rather than go through every single item with you, all right? In fact, why don't we just go to page 4? Basically what I have done is I've gone into the utility, I've looked at their revenues, their expenses, their assets, their liabilities to determine what the cash flow of the utility potentially would be. I took the utilities, in fact, let's go to the very last page. Let's just go to the very last page, all right? Let's just go to numbers. Based on the procedures we did, we using the 2009 financial information of the utility, assuming the county were to purchase the utility, we went in and I prepared a potential cash flow statement, making adjustments to the expenditures the utility presently has, because if the county were to own the utility, there would be some changes, like changes in benefits, PERS, etc. So I made some changes to the expenditures. I took a conservative approach on the revenues. If you look at this projected utility cash flow statement, you see I have total revenues here between water and sewer of $855,700. Based on a cash basis, revenue coming in, expenditures to be paid out $547,300, and that's before any potential debt service. As I indicated in my initial opening, I was tasked by the county to look to determine USDA financing should the purchase take place and what it could fund. You see there I have debt and reserve requirements. And you see at the end of that I have net cash flow at 0, meaning a break-even point for cash flow. Based on the numbers that I have here, the utility would cash flow a purchase price to up to a maximum of $5 million with interest at 3.76% funded through USDA over a 40-year period. Okay? I contacted USDA. They indicated that was the rate that they were presently using. Now when I say that, that's been several months ago. All right? If you look at this, you can see that under debt reserves, it shows the principal payment of $55,000 roughly and interest of $186,500. Obviously, from year to year, those numbers would change a little bit depending on how the loan amortizes. USDA requires that there be money set aside whenever you borrow money from them to pay future debt payments. That's a requirement of all of the entities I have done work for, performed audits where a USDA loan takes place. And then they have also a reserve requirement for asset replacement. They want the utilities to be setting aside money for future asset replacement. As you look at this $42,800 we have there for reserve asset replacement, that is not a depreciation number, and that may not be the exact number USDA requires. They make that on a loan-by-loan basis determination. The things that are really set in stone will be the first 3 items there, okay? Now, if we just take this back, now while we're on this page, just a couple things to point out, okay? And then we'll take it back a page to the cash flow page. As I indicated, right now, based on the numbers you see here, cash flow is at $5 million, or up to $5 million, I should say. In discussions with USDA, there is one particular issue that is standing out and a potential issue, and that is under revenues. You see the water revenues residential at $130,000, commercial $45,800, and standby fees of $182,300. The standby fees are not being questioned by USDA. Standby fees, and when I initially started the report, standby fees are monies that are being paid by developers who have not been able to develop their lots because the economy is bad, obviously, and they're not selling homes. And so because there's capacity that exists for them to use for water and for wastewater, and to continue to take care of the capacity and cover the operational needs of the utility, because it was built to take care of the development that these developers intended on putting on the ground, they're paying a fee each month, standby fees, so that once they put those houses on the ground or commercial buildings, the water and the wastewater utility service is available for them. If you look and follow under sewer revenues or wastewater revenues, you see standby fees there of $102,200. That roughly between the two of them, $284,000. In my discussions with USDA, they are in a position not willing to commit whether they will accept the $284,000 as a revenue to be used towards payment of the bonds. If you follow down and you look under the debt and reserve section I have, the principal and the interest payments roughly, and the debt reserve close to that $284,000, a little bit less. So if USDA is not willing to accept that, then it impedes the ability to borrow money from USDA to make this transaction take place. I reviewed the USDA's policy and procedures they have concerning loans. In there is really no indication of what acceptable revenue is. It's not clear. I'm also aware that 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, attorney you hired, Mr. Mark Ferrantino, came before the commission and indicated to them that it was not clear, and I believe his memo indicated that he thought that there would be ways around the use of the standby fees and other particular operating revenues. I'm an accountant, I'm not an attorney. That's what they do, okay? Let me go back to, let's go back to page 4, and I just want to go to the caption cash flows for just a minute. And unless there's questions, I guess at this point my intent is not to get into the assets and liabilities of the entity. I'll obviously tell you they're solvent. Right now there are some significant assets that are monies that have been paid there to finish some of the required plant capacity that's in process right now, and probably by the end of this year would be completed. Under cash flow, just bear with me a minute, just some things I want to touch on right here. This is going to be a little bit redundant. I indicate here in this first paragraph, I talk about on the last line of this paragraph of cash flows, I indicate I estimate the maximum purchase price the utility could support is $5 million. It's based on the 3.76% interest rate, a payment over 40 years. If you turn to the following page, just some things I want to touch on. I've indicated that my discussions with the Nevada U.S. Department of Agriculture office. Those were the individuals I discussed this with. I have not talked with anybody outside of those actually working here in Nevada for USDA. As I indicate, the standby fees are a potential concern that they have. I'd like to point out here that should a developer decide to discontinue payment of the standby fees, then PUC may be able to take action, meaning the utility would be able to take action to enforce payment by lien against the property, okay? So that potential exists. Use of maybe restricted cash that is sitting right now inside the company for additional capacity development. If the standby fees aren't paid, the cash flow of the utility would be impacted until remediation of the unpaid standby fees occurred. And in my report, and based on discussions with the owners of PUCI, they've indicated they'd be willing to put $300,000 in an escrow account to mitigate potential impacts of unpaid standby fees. Now, at this point, as of July 2011, all standby fees are current. No one is delinquent. Outside of the issue of the standby fees, from my perspective, there isn't anything that sits out in this report and what we reviewed that is a potential issue. And if Mark Ferrantino is right, then the standby fees would not be an issue unless developers at some point decided not to pay them. At that point, there's the mitigation that the sellers of the utility would be willing to put and set aside the $300,000 for potential issues like that. And obviously, there is agreements in place that would allow the potential, or I guess actually allow the lien of property of the developers to pay those standby fees. That's the bottom line, skipping all the discussion about revenues and assets and liabilities. That's the bottom line. I'm open to any questions you might have or anything you want me to touch on that I may have missed in that short bottom line summary.
That's a very nice report. Thank you. Easy to understand.
You mentioned PERS in there. That would be if it was county run, right? If it was run by county employees, that we could contract out and run this privately?
Excellent question. Part of my report indicates the projections that I put together also have a management component in it. The Havens have indicated they'd be willing to run the utility for a period of time in the transition period from now to at some point in time when maybe the county would like to take full management operations. In the documentation I put together for the projected budget, I've factored that into it. If there's a management company that runs the utility and those employees are not employees of the county, PERS would not be a factor. That's correct.
Okay.
To answer that question.
Thank you.
Those would be the responsibility of the management company.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I ask Dan a question?
yes, you can.
Okay, hey Dan, it's Joni. Sorry I couldn't make it down there today.
No problem.
Dan, if USDA doesn't recognize standby fees as revenue, and I understand why they don't, then what would the cash flow purchase price be?
Well, if USDA does not recognize those fees, that would that means that $284,000 wouldn't be available to pay, and that would the best it would cash flow is maybe $2 to $2.5 million.
Okay. And then in relation to those standby fees, do those fees, are they collected indefinitely or do they go on indefinitely, or is there a sunset to standby fees?
They are collected indefinitely until the project is developed and there's homes sitting on the dirt. They basically have a right, a service that is there guaranteed for them, so once the home is developed and in place, they're guaranteed they're going to have water and sewer service there. And so that is the benefit that they have. So to my knowledge, there is no sunset to that.
So how are those standby fees going to be collected if USDA doesn't support their collection? And I understand why the utility would want to collect standby fees. It's like an insurance policy.
The standby fees right now are in essence a contractual agreement between the utility and the developers. The developers are held to those contracts where they have to make the payments. And if USDA doesn't accept the standby fees as a source of revenue to make the payment, the developers are still under obligation to make the payment to the utility. If the developers don't make that agreed upon payment, then the utility would have the option of liening the property for payment of that to answer that question.
Well, how long?
Okay.
How long have they been paying these standby fees?
I was just going to ask that. How many years did PUCI collect standby fees, and what happened to all of those fees that had been collected over the years?
Okay, the standby fees have been collected, I believe, since 2008. Recently there was an increase in the standby fees, a cost of living increase of about 1.5%. The standby fees right now are being utilized for operations of the utility, For those items that aren't expended during the year, then that cash would remain inside the company, would be part of the net profit of the company. One of the reasons for the standby fees is the utility has been built out to support these developments. And so because the utility plant exists, the operational costs related to that to some extent also exist. And this is a fee that has been agreed upon and approved for their payment for the future service that's going to be rendered to them when development takes place. Did that answer your question?
I think so, yes.
So basically, I mean, the two extremes are no standby fees and full standby fees. So at no standby fees, or if USDA did not recognize standby fees and they would only loan, say, $2 million,
right,
and the county still wanted to purchase the utility, they could make up the difference in other ways besides a USDA loan and still use the standby fees to pay the debt service.
That's correct.
Because they would still be receiving the revenue.
That's correct.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Did you understand what I just said?
I got it.
Okay.
Let's,
Mr. Chairman.
one minute. Why don't Greg Hafen and Vicki Hafen-Scott come up, so in case I want to ask them a question. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Says that you have approximately 7.54 capacity for water and 18.14% capacity of wastewater. You have a large amount unused at this point. Is that what that's telling me? So you have all that area for growth, but you do also have Beezer, Concordia, and in the future America West. When those are online, will this support those developments, or will we at that time need to add some more? And then I have a couple follow-up questions.
Vicki Hafen-Scott, Crump Utility Company. The infrastructure that is currently in place, that's on average for water, a little over 7%. When everything is built out, all the homes that are currently under development agreements, approved lots, we will still have additional water capacities in that plant for some additional future development. So the facilities that we have right now will support all of the obligations for future construction. On the wastewater side of it, it will support all of the prepaid capacity. So there is some capacity that hasn't been paid yet, and we don't have an obligation to provide service to that part of a developer's project until they pay their fees at least 2 years in advance to allow time for construction. Those are the contracts that we have.
Okay, and Pam cleared up the other part about financing. It was what I was asking Dan before too, and that makes perfect sense to me. You also show that you have 29.8 million capital assets, or approximately 29.8 million, of which 1.8 is restricted. So you've got your 28 million in capital assets, and the purchase price we're looking at is about 5 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Pretty simple to me.
Well,
I don't have any other questions.
Well, he took that out. I mean, that's all right.
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Chairman?
Yes.
I just have one other question. I wonder if the developers are still paying standby fees.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
I can speak to that. We have had no defaults through this 2.5-year period of time on standby fees. Those rights are valuable to the developers, and even in the situation where a couple of the properties have been taken over by the banks are paying the fees.
Okay, thanks, Vicki. And and maybe this is for Brian or Dan or whoever can answer it. Will those contracts have to be renegotiated if a majority of this board decides to purchase the utility?
Commissioner Eastley, if I may address that. Greg Hafen on behalf of Crump Utility Company.
Hi, Greg. Thank you.
Those development agreements with the developers are assignable. What would be taking place is that those contracts would be assigned to the county and as part of a purchase contract.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, I want to thank you for I know this took a while, and we had to go through some confidentiality problems, and it took a while getting us here, but I appreciate your work. And now it's up to us to get, see what USDA is going to say about the standby fees.
Commissioner Hollis, would you mind if we make a couple of
Sure.
comments? Greg, we're going to divide this up, and Greg's going to do a little.
I think what Dan MacArthur's report demonstrates is this is an opportunity for the county to get into the utility business in a manner in which they can afford to do it. This is a situation where there's $28.6 million worth of assets that are being discussed for a $5 million purchase price. And the cash flow from the revenues being generated will pay for the acquisition, as Mr. MacArthur went through, assuming the standby fees are handled by USDA. But even if they're not, the income is there to cash flow the purchase. So I wanted to say that by acquiring a utility, the county strategically positions itself to serve areas in the county, and in particularly Prump, that are underserved or not served. This is important for the county and the people in the county. Obviously, there's excess capacity available for immediate service to those customers within the service area. You get control over valuable resources, that's water and sewer, and those are critical and necessary to development and economic growth in this valley, probably the most critical. You acquire a standing with the Public Utilities Commission regarding other utilities operating next to you. And the other potential benefit that's important, we think, is the treated effluent water may result in one of two things. You can either use it to water parks, ball fields, use it at schools for turf playgrounds, or if you're putting it back into the water system to acquire additional water rights. Now, there's several advantages that I think are important to county ownership versus private ownership, particularly in this valley. Rates will be controlled by the county, not a private utility. The county is going to determine what areas to serve, not the private utility. The county can get grants, bonds, or borrow low-cost funds to expand service lines. That's difficult, if not impossible, particularly for a small utility to do that's privately owned and operated. The other thing that the county can do that a private utility, particularly a small utility, can't do is develop and implement a water recharge system for treated water that could expand the water supply by up to 40%. And I think there's been some discussion about that, and that's strategically placing where you put the water back into the watershed. And that's obviously up from the production wells in the utility. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits to the county getting into this particular utility. It's certainly a stepping stone to gaining control over very valuable assets. And I'd like to turn the time over to Vicki.
Just quickly to summarize, not often do you have the opportunity to purchase something where you can borrow 100% of the purchase price and make the cash flow. And that's what Dan's report says. Whether or not the USDA likes the standby fees or not, they are revenue. They will support loan payments for 100% financing. Our current operations provide us with net ordinary income. So we're not in a position where we have to sell, and as you all know, this process has been going on for at least 2+ years, that there's been some just discussions and been looking and considering. So just to dispel the myth, we don't have to sell. I mean, that's not why we're here. We're proposing to provide turnkey management. Pretty much operations will go on like they do today, so that it's, one, not a burden on the current county staff, and two, it allows for time to actually build a utility department within the county to be done in a fashion that we think is the right way to operate, and we've been successful doing it the way that we have. So the other myth is we're not trying to get out of the business because we're offering to stay in the business with the county under a turnkey management contract for 3 years, 5 years, whatever you feel is necessary. So what and Greg talked, it's great economic benefits to the county, and we can't get funding to put infrastructure in. So all our infrastructure has been paid for by developers, which is why we are able to have fairly inexpensive rates, because we haven't been out borrowing the money and then having to charge our customers 11% on it. What I'd like to ask you to do is move this item forward to another meeting so that you can, in fact, vote to move the consideration of the purchase forward, to authorize the staff to submit a loan to the USDA so that, in fact, we get something on paper and can really start the process, and authorize the staff and the district attorney to start developing price, terms, and conditions with us for a contract outline to bring back to you. So I'd like to leave you with that thought and hope that you can move it forward.
Thank you, Vicki.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just have one other question, and maybe it's rhetorical, but the thing that I find most curious about this is that if in fact, and I absolutely believe that the infrastructure has been paid for by the developers, why would anybody who owns an asset worth approximately $28.6 million, and they admit that the cash flow is great and it's paying for itself, why would they want to sell it for $5 million? And I guess that's just a rhetorical question.
Well, it may not be. I think it's a fair question, Commissioner Easley, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, we didn't start out in this business planning on being a utility operator for the next 50 years. When we started it, there was no other opportunities in the Pahrump area to develop land without forming our own utility company. And then as time went on, other developers that wanted to develop in our area, the larger home builders, needed someone to provide utility services, and so we grew much beyond what our original plans were in terms of operations. Two, yes, we have a lot of assets, but with Public Utility Commission rules, we are not allowed to make revenue on most of that because it's been donated. So we are not allowed to make tons of net revenue, and that's controlled by the Public Utilities Commission. I do want to point out that those standby fees are part of our tariff that have been approved by the Public Utilities Commission, not just a contractual right. And so, we have no other source to go out and borrow funds or get grants for infrastructure development. We believe the best way to dispose of affluent in our area is to build a pipeline up the fan quite a ways and put that affluent back in to recharge the basin. We have no way to finance that. It won't happen under our ownership. It could happen under county ownership. And so, I mean, those are the three basic reasons that we want to sell. And quite frankly, I mean, the utility will cash flow 100% financing at the price that we're talking about, and we feel that that's very fair to the county, and it's also fair to us and is a win-win for all of us.
Thanks, Vicki. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dan, for the report.
Mr. Chairman, if it's not inappropriate, could the board give direction to staff at all on any of this, Mr. Kunze?
This is not an action item at all, so I don't think it would be appropriate for them to do that. I think we have to put it on another agenda item.
That's what I was going to ask him to place on the agenda item, an agenda item to discuss exactly what we've been discussing, and to make an application to USDA. And if you can take care of that, I appreciate it, Mr. County Manager.
Well, will do.
Okay, Lorena, have I missed anything besides the planning stuff?
No, just planning.
Huh?
Thank you.
It's the only thing I see.
Okay, we'll go to planning.
Thank you, Dan.
Huh? We'll go to planning, and item 1 is ex parte communications and conflict of interest disclosure statements. Does any of the commissioners have any conflict of interest?
No.
Okay, Dan, how about you?
Nothing I am aware of at this
Okay.
time.
We'll go to 2, public hearing, discussion, deliberation, possible decision on a request to approve the following planning and zoning matters. Open use zoning change application, CC 11-0007. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing further to add from what's in the staff report.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
These zone changes, is this finally the last gasp of the Hogue Ireland?
Yes, these are the last 3 open use parcels.
Thank God.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve ZC 11-0007 as per recommendations of the Pahrump Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion to approve DC 11-0007 based on staff's report by Commissioner Brodsky, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll go to item 2, ZC 11-0008, conforming zone change application, change approximately 4.05 acres. Staff.
Nothing further to add.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve ZC 11-0008 as per the recommendations of the Pahrump Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brodsky to approve ZC 11-0008 based upon staff recommendation and Regional Planning Commission. Second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just have a point of order. Are you opening the public hearings on these?
I am sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know if we had a public hearing on the first one.
No, we didn't. I'll go back and, excuse me, does anybody, I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody have any comment on, I'm opening the public hearing. Does anybody have anything on ZC 11-007? I'll close the public hearing, go back to ZC 11-008, open public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? I'll close the public hearing. I have a motion on ZC 11-008 by Commissioner Brodsky to approve based on staff recommendation and the Pahrump Regional Planning Commission. Second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 3, ZC 11-0009, conforming zone change application.
Sam needed
Staff.
something.
I have no further comments.
Okay, open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sam was trying to.
Oh,
You kind of went through that fast, and I was just making sure that last vote was for the second item, not the first item that you
No,
went back into the
second,
public
yeah.
hearing for, because you already voted on that. Okay, just kind of clarifying, thanks.
Commissioner?
Close the public hearing. I'd make a motion.
Public hearing?
I'd make a motion to approve ZC 11-0009 as per the recommendations of the Pahrump Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brodsky to approve ZC 11-009 based on Pahrump Regional Planning Commission. Second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll go to general planning, building items. Note, these items are not timed and are not considered part of the public hearing. Action, request to set a date, time, and location for public hearing on Bill 2011-12. Discussion and deliberation of possible decision to set a date, time, and location for the public hearing on Nye County Bill 2011-12, a bill proposing to adopt a development agreement with Wilson Capital. Am I correct that we're gonna pull that?
No, we can set the date and time.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I'd like to propose Bill 2011-12 and set a public hearing date for September 6th at 11 a.m. in the Commission chambers here in Tonopah.
Shouldn't that be heard in? I'm sorry, I thought, shouldn't we hear those down in Pahrump, or is it okay that we hear them up there? You're good with that?
Staff's recommending Tonopah.
They are recommending, okay.
And you're adopting the bill, am I correct?
Proposed.
No, I'm proposing it.
Okay, who seconded that? Or did somebody?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Eastley to propose Bill number 2011-12 for September 6, 2011 in Tonopah, Nevada. Second by Commissioner Wickman. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? It passes 5-0. This is consent item. These.
Actually, I think
Yes.
she needs to read that in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Title into the
Yeah.
record.
Go ahead.
This bill does have a title, so I'll read that into the record for you. Bill number 2011-12 is a bill proposing to adopt a development agreement with Wilson Capital Nevada, LLC, for the Pine Lakes Estates Development Project located within the Pahrump Regional Planning District and other matters properly related thereto.
Okay. Go to the consent agenda. These items that staff recommended for approval. The board reserves the right to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular segment of the agenda should the issue arise. Commissioner.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Boraski to approve, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? That passes 5-0. Do we have
Commissioner
anything?
Hollis?
Yes.
What happened with 20D, the mutual aid agreement? What was the?
It passed 4-0 with.
Passed 3-1.
You're not present.
Passed 3-1.
Oh, okay.
3-1,
All right, that's fine.
excuse me.
Thank you.
But it did pass. Okay, the only thing we got left that I think is, we're gonna go to closed session, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go to 11A, action closure of the meeting pursuant to NRS 288.220 for purpose of conferring with county management representatives regarding labor negotiation issues and other personal matters.
Motion to go into closed.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Boraski, go into closed session, second by Commissioner Shinhopin. Further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll be in closed session.